Chapter 292, You can call me Lord Lucifer here. Dark Queen would do, the both of them said to their new butler. We can discuss about him later. Now tell me, why can't I sense their magical fluctuations? Gaia asked, gently brushing her hands over the Hydra's warm body. The Hydra remained eyes closed. I think it's his presence that's stopping me from sensing the energy around them. I don't think so. Michael didn't think what she said was true. Oh, they're waking up. Just as Michael was about to ask the system, Gaia saw the heads slowly opening their eyes. They had grown double in size. It was like they had grown from the size of a week-old puppy to a month-old puppy. Now the wings looked more noticeable than before. Should I feel good? Me too, the silver head said after the white head. The black head tried to sense the changes in their body in silence. Come on, let's see we can fly. In their excitement, the Hydra failed to notice the demon butler as well as the gazes of Michael and Gaia. The Hydra tried to flap its wings, hoping to take off from Gaia's hand. Aren't they cute? Seeing them bouncing on her hand, Gaia's eyes sparkled. She immediately squeezed the Hydra against her chest, showing them with kisses. Lord Lucifer, do you have any orders for me? Azazel asked. Are you familiar with the Abyssal's layouts? Since I'm bound to the Abyssal, I know this place like the back of my hand. I can feel Dalar and Arya in their rooms. Let's go meet them, shall we? Michael made his way towards the door. I'll bite your face off, woman. The white head cursed Gaia. In Gaia's eyes, they looked cuter when they are mad. Therefore, she continued to caress them before following Michael. Although the ethereal form of the butler let him hover above the ground, he actually moved like he was walking. Lord Lucifer, I should take the liberty of cleaning this place. I might need to borrow a few undeads from Dark. Azazel asked Michael after noticing the dust-covered walls and floor. By imagining him as a butler as well as making him learn the Book of Butler, Michael had turned the demon into a professional butler. I think you broke our demon. Why is he looking and talking like a butler? Don't you want a demon for your butler? I do, Michael said while walking towards Arya's room, which was the armory, before he turned it into a room to accommodate Arya and her brothers. I hope you'll come to love your life, Azazel, Michael said. Serving you is what I love, Lord Lucifer. Being your butler is the greatest gift a demon like me could get. I like him, Gaia nodded approvingly. Seems like you have a lot to do here, demon, the white head said, looking at the walls. I'll transform the Abyssal in a few days, lady. His voice trailed off as Michael halted his steps for a moment to look at Azazel. How may I address the three of them, Dark Queen, Lord Lucifer? As far as I know, you haven't named them yet. She's Iag, he's Sarba, and the black is Cain. Together, they shall be called Vidora. She raised her hand high, beaming with pride and excitement. She made the scene as theatrical as possible with her voice and movements. You just spelled your name backward and named her, and spelled Abra's backward and named him, didn't you? The names sound cool, that's all it matters. She gave a thumbs up to him. The white head rolled its eyes yet did not disagree with its name Iag. The silver head who got the name Sarba had sparkles in its eyes. As usual, the black head remained unemotional. Since the names did sound cool, Michael accepted the names. The moment he accepted the names in his mind, a bell sound ringed in his mind. Congratulations for getting a new familiar, Vidora the three-headed Hydra. Ignoring to look at the familiar tab for the time being, Michael came to Arya's room doorsteps. The door was closed, but they could hear sobbing sounds coming from inside. Michael knocked on the door thrice as the sobbing sound quickly stopped. Who's there? Who do you think? Gaia opened the door to see Arya sitting beside the large bed where her brothers were resting. There were tubes attached to Michael's healing potions running into their bodies. The twins slightly looked better than they were before, as the scars caused by various experiments had almost disappeared from their bodies. Their hair and skin had more shininess, indicating their physical recovery. Lord Lucifer, Dark Queen, Arya quickly stood up from the bed before kneeling down before them on one knee. Rise. Michael gestured to her to stand up. He then walked towards Titus and Optimus. Their bodies and souls are healing faster than I expected, except for fewer scars on their bodies. He saw no difference, yet he lied to make Arya feel better. He planned to heal the twins using the badass points, but unfortunately, he had to spend most of his points on Azazel. Compared to the twins, waking Azazel seemed more important than the twins. What does that mean, Lord Lucifer? Arya wiped off the tears from her face. Her hands and legs shivered looking at Azazel. Just his ethereal form freaked her out a little, so she avoided direct eye contact with him. They are recovering, Arya. You might see them waking up sooner than you expect, but it'll take time to regrow their limbs. Really? Finally, her lips slightly curved upwards, revealing a relaxed smile. Now, have you finished the task I gave you? It had been almost 5 months since he met Matthias, the Broad River sect leader. He ordered Ella to get as many students and teachers as she can and join the Sunrise sect. Arya's task was to assassinate Matthias, as Michael knew he would stand in his plan. I did what you asked, Lord Lucifer. Arya flicked her wrist as an empty vial appeared in her hand. Since Arya was a body refining stage cultivator and Matthias was at the core formation stage, Michael gave a powerful poison brewed by him to Arya to kill Matthias. He didn't say whether to poison Matthias' food or cut him with a blade smeared with the poison because he wanted Arya to think for herself. But practice your combat skills using the netherals. Since your body is adapting to the conditions here, you won't turn into an undead if they bite you, but it will hurt like hell, so avoid getting bitten. Gaia gave a piece of advice to Arya. After seeing how they treated slaves in the southern continent, Gaia had a soft spot for Arya. Yes, Lord Lucifer, she was afraid of the undead. One could see the fear in her eyes. Yet she obeyed his orders regardless of her fears because she herself wanted to get tough. After all, she promised herself that she will never let anyone hurt her family ever again. After giving Arya her next task, Michael left the room. While walking through the corridors towards Dalar's room, Gaia turned her gaze at Azazel to see him open and close his mouth like he had something to ask but not sure whether he should. Do you have something to say, Azazel? Gaia asked. I prefer you speak your mind, Azazel. Michael didn't stop or turn back but said while walking. As you wish, Lord Lucifer. I do have something to ask. What do you have in mind? Michael asked. I know you had a good reason to lie to Arya. Can you enlighten me on the why? Michael was surprised to see Azazel noticing his lie. He never thought Azazel could detect his lie without even seeing his face, as he had the mask on his face to cover his micro-expressions. Sometimes, a lie can do more good than the truth. Azazel repeated his words in his mind. Eventually, they reached the doorsteps of Dalar. There was no sobbing sound coming from the room but the growling sounds of the netherals. After a few hours, Michael and Gaia reached the abyssal. There were several people surrounding a bed. The house's interior and the furniture had the difference of black and white. The house looked ancient with several holes, long cracks in the walls, and worn-out pantries and wooden racks. However, the sofa, cushions, the tea table in the center of the hall, and the bed looked majestic. The house belonged to none other than Michael and Gaia. It was their sect house. Since Gaia ordered them not to touch anything until she returns from seclusion, the workers didn't renovate the house. No one would enter Ghost's house except Raylene, Little Cindy, and Nightmare. The first two would get inside the house to keep it from getting dust-covered. Nightmare usually rested with Claire as he was not used to sleeping alone. However, at the moment, several people were inside Michael's bedroom itself. Please, Cindy, just a little. Raylene was sitting on Michael's bed with a tiny bowl of soup in her hand. Cindy was lying on the bed covering up to her neck with Michael's blanket. The little girl was shivering. Her usual playful child smile was nowhere to be found. I want Big Brother and Sister Elia right now. Cindy tried to raise her voice, yet only a whisper came out of her mouth. Raylene turned her head helplessly looking at Claire. I don't want the bad man to hurt me like he did to Brother Jack. Raylene's eyes began to water up. Ever since Claire found out Jack's body in his own pool of blood, the little girl was severely traumatized. Not even Nightmare could calm her as the girl was asking for Ghost and Elia. Raylene tried to take the girl home but she refused to leave Ghost's home. Look, if you drink this soup, I will bring Ghost and Elia here. Claire sat beside Raylene gently brushing Cindy's forehead. You said the same thing yesterday. Cindy sobbed while tightly holding onto the blanket. Sect leader Claire, Suddenly a male disciple rushed into the home. He was taking heavy deep breaths in exhaustion. Brother Ghost. Brother Ghost and Sister Elia has come out of the seclusion. Another chapter will be up today. Stay tuned. Chapter 293. Raylene and Claire immediately stood up from the bed as the bed was on fire after hearing the disciple. The disciple standing in the room with Claire heaved a heavy sigh of relief, beaming in joy. Where are they? Claire asked. She felt like an immense amount of pressure was being lifted off her shoulder. They are at the foothills and coming here. Instead of flying here, it was Michael's idea to land at the foothills and take a stroll. He wanted to see how the sect has changed since he left. Go wake up Nightmare, he's at my house with the baby. Yes, sect leader. The disciple left the room in a hurry to wake up Nightmare, who is sleeping with Cindy's brother. Despite his big scally terrorizing body, Nightmare was pretty gentle with the baby. No one in the world would have believed that Nightmare, a dragon, loved babysitting. Brother! Cindy jumped off the bed full of energy. Before they could stop her, she leaped out of the bed, running towards the outside. The others couldn't do anything but follow behind the little girl. Hearing that Ghost had returned, Cindy ran outside showing no signs of fever or exhaustion. When Claire reached outside, she saw disciples rushing towards their dormitory in fear. Only a few daredevils remained outside of Ghost's house to see his and Elia's reaction to Jack's death. Where are they? Cindy shouted at one of the disciples waiting for Michael. She kept bouncing from the ground to see the distance. It took everyone a few minutes before vaguely noticing two figures in black slowly walking towards them. Look, Brother Ghost is back. Is that really him? Wow, he looks different. Of course it's Brother Ghost. Who do you think walking beside him? That's Sister Elia you've been telling us about. Sister Elia gonna lose it? Just let sect leader Claire break the news. The disciples began to chit-chat. Some seemed excited while some seemed terrified. Those who recently joined the sect from various towns had never seen Ghost before. Therefore, they waited for the famous Ghost of Rivertown with their own eyes. Sect leader Claire, Lady Raylene. Claire turned back to see Daniel and Ricky rushing towards them carrying a basket full of wild mushrooms for Raylene's soup. We heard Master Ghost is back, Daniel said. One could see a sliver of fear in his eyes. Ricky, on the other hand, looked pale as a white paper. Both of them were more afraid of Elia than Ghost because they knew Master Ghost is a level-headed calm person while Elia is the exact opposite of him. Besides, all of them knew Jack was Elia's handyman who followed her behind like a puppy dog. Among all the disciples, only Jack had the guts to talk to her and even ask her for favors. It was not a secret to the disciples that Jack worshipped Ghost and Elia as his siblings. At that moment, Michael and Gaia were walking towards the home with the biggest frowns on their face. Along the way, they noticed several guards of the Winston family and adventurers patrolling the path to the sect. They expected a line of noble carriages from the foothills to their home to buy potions and pills, yet they saw no carriages or a single person other than a disciple of the sect or a guard of the Winston family. I have a bad feeling about this, Michael thought to himself. Brother! Suddenly, he heard a high-pitched shout of Cindy as he saw the little girl running towards him as fast as she could. Her cute face put a wide smile on Michael's face. Almost 20 meters away from Claire, Raylene, the disciples, and his house, he was welcomed by Cindy. The little girl leaped from the ground, throwing herself to Michael. His haircut, new clothes, or buffed-up physique was not enough to give the little girl a hard time recognizing Michael. Hey there, Butterball. Michael caught the little girl in the midair safely. He felt her wrap around his neck getting tighter and tighter. You're back, as she said. She removed her one hand to hug Gaia. I missed you too, tiny human, Gaia giggled. She moved closer so the little girl could hug both of them at the same time. Cindy didn't stop with the hug as she tried to climb on Michael's chest using her tiny feet. You're back. Don't let the bad man hurt me, she sobbed, hugging him tightly. I think she's crying, Gaia said. Michael was confused. Her sobbing didn't seem like a cry of joy. The little girl kept trying to climb on Michael when she pulled her apart from him by lifting her by the arms. Cindy's face was pale, there was no redness or baby fat in her face. She lost weight as Michael could see her collarbones and feel her ribs on his hands. Moreover, black circles could be seen under her eyes because of her lack of sleep. Her transformation, what she just said about a bad man and the reactions of the people around them made him realize that something bad has happened. He expected them to welcome him with joy and cheers, yet he only saw fear and anxiety on their faces. Where's Nightmare? Although he made sure absolutely no harm could come to Nightmare, seeing their reactions made him automatically think of Nightmare. Don't leave me again. In his arms, Cindy cried. Michael hugged her as Cindy buried her head on his chest. I know something's very wrong here or you wouldn't have closed the Majestic. Where is that little shit? He better have a valid reason like dying to make me stop from what I'm planning to do to him. Ricky and Daniel were responsible for the restaurant in Rivertown while it was Jack's responsibility to keep the Majestic up and running without problems while they were away. Hence, Gaia looked for Jack having zero clues about his demise. Brother Jack. Who? Tears began to roll out of Cindy's eyes. Gaia saw everyone avoiding direct eye contact with her when she mentioned Jack. Her eyes slowly turned cold as she walked towards Claire. She then grabbed Claire's shoulder. Where is Jack? Teacher. While Gaia was asking Claire, Michael saw Olivia running towards him from the direction of the herbal garden. Olivia too had no smile on her face. Spit it out. Claire felt her surrounding air turning colder. With tears filling up her eyes, Claire finally opened her mouth. He's dead. Jack's dead. Ilya, the entire surrounding became deadly silent. No one dared to utter or make a sound. Michael's mind got filled with questions when he heard Claire. Dead? Gaia asked. The veins in her eyes popped, turning her eyes red. Her entire body shivered in anger. The bad man killed him, Cindy blurted out. He was murdered? Gaia asked Claire. Everyone's gaze was locked on Gaia. Michael didn't show his inner emotions as Gaia, but he was feeling the anger boiling inside him after knowing that Jack was murdered. We don't know, Claire shook her head. Finally, Gaia let go of her shoulder. He was murdered and you don't know who, she repeated the sentence again and again as she walked towards their house. Lord Lucifer, I suggest we take a few steps back. Michael heard Azazel's voice. He was standing right beside him, yet no one could see the butler because of his phantom form skill. Everyone felt the killing intent radiating from Gaia skyrocketing. You don't know. Suddenly she shouted, throwing her fist at the house. Boom. The wall exploded into smithereens as the entire house shook. The front wall of their house completely collapsed. In a few moments, countless cracks formed in the ground beneath the house as well as on the other walls. He was killed and you don't know. Her shout almost busted their eardrums. Lightning Dash. Michael immediately covered Cindy with his coat before activating Lightning Dash. He pushed the spell to its maximum potential to save Raylene, Claire, Ricky, and Daniel from getting hurt by the debris. Gaia went mad as she kept punching the house until it completely collapsed to the ground. A mushroom cloud of dust enveloped them. Only her mad screams could be heard in the area. Ilya, stop! Claire and the disciples screamed. Take them away! Thanks to Michael, most of them survived Gaia's rampage with little to no wounds, while some of them had their heads opened due to the debris hitting them. He was like Flash rescuing civilians from evil supervillains. Michael was glad there was no other building in the area for her to go, breaking them all. She disappeared from his sight into the dust storm. Michael yelled at Claire before handing Cindy over to Raylene. Claire and the disciples did not linger around to get hit by debris. They ran away, taking the injured with them. Michael heard her mad shout coming from the ruins. It was obvious she completely lost control of her anger. Unlike Michael, she wasn't trained to control her emotions and anger. Michael wanted to stop her before she harmed others and herself. Cracks of lightning surrounded him as he was about to rush into the ruins of his house when he saw a red ball dashing into the ruins from the skies. Nightmare. Chapter 294. Michael activated the lightning dash to rush into the ruins. Wind blast. While running into the dust cloud surrounding the ruins, he raised his hands, sending several blasts of wind to clear the rubble and the dust. The powerful wind blasts cleared the dust in a few seconds, revealing Nightmare and Gaia. For a moment, Michael couldn't recognize the dragon. When he left for the southern continent, Nightmare was the size of his hand. Now it stood almost 3 meters tall and 10 meters long. He was not as big as Smog but not small either. Nightmare's crimson-red scales glistened under the sunlight. Nightmare was holding down Gaia against the ground. He held onto her hands, preventing her from destroying and attacking him in rage. Ghosty. When Nightmare saw Michael walk out of the dust, his vertical pupils became rounded. Even Nightmare's voice became rough and gritty, suitable for a majestic dragon. Get off me! The momentary distraction was enough for Gaia to fight against Nightmare's hold. She gritted her teeth, slowly lifting Nightmare's hands. Both Michael and Nightmare were stunned to see her strength. Even Michael did not know she had the raw strength to lift a dragon against gravity. Her hands slowly began to show purple scales while she began to grow in size. In addition to the scales and growth in size, Nightmare noticed her eyes transforming into those of a cobra. Michael rushed into her side before she fully lost control of the innate ability that keeps her in human form. Visible to the naked eyes, she was becoming more and more like a snake. The purple scale had covered up to her neck while below her waist transformed into one long snake body. Shit, system, I need a powerful sleeping potion, 1,000 badass points, quick! I cannot hold her much longer, Ghosty, Nightmare growled as Michael came to Gaia's side. You idiot! Michael cursed her before forcing the potion down her throat. She frantically wiggled, spitting the potion on both Michael's and Nightmare's faces. Still, she couldn't overpower a dragon and Michael. Let go. Finally, a few seconds after Michael forced the potion down into her mouth, she started to lose consciousness. Her body gradually shrank back to her normal human form. Sigh, I wish we had reunited under different circumstances, Ghosty. Nightmare lowered himself to rest his head on Michael's shoulder. Michael wrapped his arm around Nightmare's neck, gently patting his warm body. Me too, buddy, me too. To Michael's surprise, Nightmare shrank himself to the size of a 3-month-old German shepherd. With a leap, he landed on Michael's shoulder. Then he began to shower Michael with wet kisses. Was that your original size? Nightmare shook his head. This is my original size. I can temporarily get bigger to enhance my strength. It's one of my innate talents I got after metamorphosis, Michael nodded, picking Gaia from the ground. Show me where he was killed, he asked Nightmare. Before doing anything, Michael wanted to see where Jack was killed. He didn't think he could find the killer by just looking at the place, but still, he wanted to see it. Follow me. Nightmare flapped his wings to ascend to the sky. With a couple of flaps, he was high in the sky. Carrying Gaia in his hand, Michael took off from the ground. He stopped for a moment in the sky to look back at the ruins. Even though the house was shabby, it was his home. He couldn't help feeling a bit sad to see it crumble into pieces. In addition to the house, Jack's face also flashed across his eyes. Jack was innocent in Michael's mind. If Jack was Lucifer's blacksmith and killed by his enemies, Michael would have understood the reasoning behind his death. However, Jack never did no such thing as helping him kill people. Not even before flying for 5 minutes, Nightmare started to descend towards the forest near his house. Black lines appeared on Michael's forehead. He was thinking Jack was killed somewhere far from his house, which would have indicated his murder wasn't connected to Lucifer. He was killed near our home? Michael asked while flying through the thick canopy. What was Jack doing here? He asked another question. Collecting mushrooms and fruits for Raylene, Michael halted his steps. He remembered that collecting mushrooms and fruits were usually done by Cindy, as she loved to help her mother. In addition to the forest being so close to Michael's home, there was always Jack or a disciple accompanying Cindy. Even Gaia would sometimes tag along with the little girl if she wanted to hunt in the forest. Was Cindy with Jack that day? The sight of his previous life flashed across his eyes. Everyone in his orphanage was killed because of Spectre's orders, so Michael had seen little children he cared about dying. That was the day he lost his calmness and went rampage, killing every single one of his assassin colleagues, including his girlfriend and Spectre. The thought of Cindy might have been killed along with Jack made his blood boil. He loved Cindy because the little girl loved him unconditionally. Unlike Maisie, who was a spoiled brat in his eyes, Cindy was such a sweet, caring girl who wanted nothing from him. Not only Michael, But every single person in the sect also cherished her. She was the one who found his body, Nightmare said, swallowing a mouthful of saliva. He was not an exception to those who adore Cindy. Hence, Nightmare avoided thinking about scenarios that could have harmed Cindy. Nightmare stopped walking when he reached a large oak tree. This is the place. Michael gently placed Gaia under another tree before walking to Nightmare's side. System: I need red mint, urchin vein, Pegasus hoof, and bark, leeching buxus, he thought in his mind as the system showed him the price of 800 badass points before him. Nightmare saw the green alchemy flames appear above his hand. What are you doing? There's no perfect crime, Nightmare. We can find traces of evidence if we have the right tool, in this case, a potion. Michael threw the various ingredients into the green fire. He then made a few hand signs in one hand while holding the fire in the other. As usual, pearl-like essence began to form above the green fire before finally coming together to make a liquid orb. Without sending the potion into a vial, Michael waved his hand as the liquid splashed on the tree and the ground around the tree. The ground absorbed the liquid in a few seconds. Gradually before their eyes, the ground's color changed from muddy brown to fluorescent blue. Is that blood? Michael said as he squatted down to see any patterns on the ground. He hoped Jack would have left some clues about his killer. Although it was highly unlikely, he still hoped for a clue. While Michael was studying the ground for clues, Nightmare noticed Gaia's body moving. She's waking up. In the split second Nightmare turned his head, Michael ruffled the ground to remove the clue from their eyes. Michael saw two distinct marks on the ground. He knew Jack probably had written the two letters before dying. There were not many things that related to the letters GG except Guardian Guild. Where am I? She mumbled, slowly opening her eyes. Both Michael and Nightmare remained silent without answering her question. They wanted for her to completely wake up from her sleepiness. Gaia's vision slowly cleared up to reveal the tree around her. The lack of sunlight coming through the canopy made seeing everything around her clearly difficult. You dumb snake, you destroyed our home and revealed your identity to everyone in the sect. Instead of answering Nightmare, she turned her gaze towards Michael. Do you know who killed him? She asked coldly. Although she seemed not as furious as before, he could still see the murderous intent in her eyes. No, what she did made Michael mad at her. She single-handedly endangered herself and him. If she was to fully reveal herself as Naga, it wouldn't be long before Zanali finds out about her true identity. At that time, she would be killed or imprisoned along with him. If she began to act crazy every time someone close to them was murdered, his enemies would use this to their own advantage. Keeping a calm head was always important to stay ahead of their enemies. Until he was sure that she wouldn't lose her mind again like that, he decided not to tell about the Guardian Guild. If she tried to attack a Guardian on a rampage, the Guild would destroy her and his sect. Compared to the Guardian Guild, they were like weak ants. They still had a long way to go before starting to challenge or mess with the Guardian Guild. His full focus was on becoming strong without making powerful enemies. Then find who murdered him. I will kill him and everyone knows about Jack's murder. No, I won't kill him right away. I will flay him alive, piece by piece. I will make him experience hell. She looked crazy and ominous with that evil grin on her face. You want to keep your secrets, fine. But I want you to find the person who killed him. If anyone could find who killed Jack, Gaia knew its ghost. Chapter 295. Trust me, I will find whoever did this, but I won't tell you anything related to his murder until then, Michael blatantly said to her face. Are you fucking kidding me right now? She never expected this answer from Michael. Do I look like I'm kidding? What you did was stupid. You lost control of yourself, endangering us and everyone around. Nightmare agreed with Michael with a nod. So you expect me to stand there like a stone? I'm sorry, I wasn't trained to be as heartless as you were. Calm down, both of you. Nightmare tried to defuse the situation before it escalated further. Shut up, lizard. In talking to him, she quickly shut Nightmare before continuing to argue with Michael. I get that I might have lost control of my emotions, but you don't even care. Jack treated you like his own brother and he was your kind, for God's sake. Michael remained in silence, uttering no words. He let her pour out everything in her heart. As she said, he was trained to control his emotions. After hearing her words, he could tell that she had mistaken his calmness for lack of emotions. Although he was trained to control his emotions, it didn't mean he didn't feel anything. He just chose not to show it outside or let the emotions cloud his judgment. Would you do something or be as calm as now if something happened to me? It was evident that her anger slowly turned towards Michael. She expected him to find the person who killed Jack without a delay, yet hearing that he had no intention to let her know anything regarding the investigation until he finds the scumbag responsible made her blood boil in anger. Moreover, she felt like he didn't trust her after everything they went through together. So you'll only trust me as long as I behave to your liking? She stopped talking, expecting him to say something. By acting the way you did, what did you gain? Did you find out who killed Jack? Michael simply asked 2 questions instead of explaining himself. She kept opening and closing her mouth without an answer to give. You asked if I would be as calm as now if something happened to you. The answer is yes, because if I start to lose my mind, anger and other emotions will cloud my judgment. Don't mistake my calmness for lack of emotions. I just don't show my emotions the way you did. And am not even gonna explain myself about trusting you. I trust you with my life, that's all you gonna get from me. Gaia's eyes began to water up hearing his last words. I thought you would know this after everything we went through. After speaking these words, Michael took off from the forest, leaving Nightmare and Gaia behind. He wanted some time alone to process everything that just happened. Her words hurt him, even though he hadn't realized it yet. Are you happy now, Snake? Puffs of smoke came out of Nightmare's nostrils. How could you even ask him whether he trusts you or not? Has he done anything without including you? Jack would have never wanted this. Tears began to roll out of her eyes as Nightmare continued. Even now he chose not to tell you anything because he wants to protect you. Hear my words, Snake. You want to find someone who trusts and loves you as Ghost, not in this lifetime, not ever. She broke down to the ground, crying. Michael's words, Jack's death and Nightmare's words pierced her heart. She couldn't hold back the tears anymore. Seeing her break down to tears stunned Nightmare. He had never seen her like this. It was not his intention to make her cry. He slowly walked towards her before wrapping his wing around her shoulder. You know how it feels to have a family that treats you as their enemy? Gaia asked Nightmare, sobbing. The moments she spent with Zanali, her mother, and her father flashed across Gaia's eyes. Her stepmother or even her real father never treated her like they treated Zanali. They loved Zanali while always viewing Gaia as a stranger. I know how it feels to be abandoned, Nightmare said. He still clearly remembered the time his mother threw him out of the nest and running from the humans who wanted to capture him for pleasure. Until he drew his last breath, he would never forget the first time he saw Ghost. In his eyes, Nightmare only showed love and excitement. Somehow Nightmare felt safer with him. I always yearned for a family that loves me. This sect, you, Ghost, and everyone loves me unconditionally. You guys are my family. She looked at Nightmare with her teary eyes. But I wasn't here to protect my family. I had nightmares of someone calling for my help. I didn't take it seriously. If I return then dash. Her throat tightened in sadness. It's not your fault. Do not blame yourself. Just trust Ghost, he will find whoever did this. When we get our hands on that filth, it'll help you show him the hell. Nightmare chuckled to make her feel good. He shook her shoulders playfully. Despite their constant bickering and fights and the hate between the Naga race and the Dragon race, Nightmare loved Gaia and so was she. He couldn't care less about the hate between the two races. As far as he was concerned, she was family to him. Blame yourself for destroying our home. Thanks to you, we're homeless now, Nightmare teased her. He didn't let go of her as he kept her under his wings. It was a shabby house anyways. Finally Gaia whipped off the tears from her face. A small smile emerged on her face. Now let's go find Ghosty. And try not to act like a bitch this time. Shut you scaly fuck. There's the snake I know and love. Gaia punched Nightmare in the neck as he gave a headbutt to her face. After that, they ascended to the sky searching for Ghost. The serrated mountains loomed in the distance. Gaia and Nightmare made their way towards them searching for Michael. The trees blanketed the mountains, decorating the mountains in jade green. The heaven-touching apex of the mountain was drenched in brilliant light. All across their line of sight, the tips of the mountain range stuck up like a row of thorns. Atop the tallest mountain top, Michael was standing alone. His black coat was fluttering in the wind backward. From the mountain top, he could see the entire sect and the river town on the horizon. He had never come to this place before, but he regretted that seeing the calmness it gave to his soul and mind. Looking at the sky, he saw Nightmare and Gaia flying towards him. The demon butler was standing behind him, uttering no words. He let Michael enjoy peace and calmness. After a couple of minutes, they landed behind Michael. Human, Michael heard Gaia's voice. She sounded meek, gentle, and apologizing. He kept gazing at the view before him as Nightmare and Gaia slowly made their way towards him. "I'm sorry," she hugged him from behind, burying her head on his back. "It's that Dash. You don't have to explain yourself to me," Michael interrupted her. "You spoke your mind." His distant words began to hurt her. "You're right, I'm not gonna explain myself to you. I love you and I trust you with my life too. That's all you're gonna get from me." She hugged him as tight as she could. For a few minutes, they just stood there without moving until Michael turned back. "I promise I won't lose my mind again," Gaia said, looking him directly in the eyes. "No, you won't," Michael caringly embraced her. After seeing her teary eyes, he couldn't be mad at her anymore. He loved her so much that he couldn't see her cry. "I will make sure no one hurts the people we care about anymore," Michael said before gently kissing the top of her head. Eventually, Nightmare couldn't stay back. He came to join the hug. He grew big enough to wrap both of them in his wings. He then wiggled his head in between Michael and Gaia. "I missed this so much," Nightmare purred. "What are you gonna do?" Gaia asked. "We're going to make our sect stronger than any other sect in this entire continent, and it's time this continent has seen a 6-star alchemist." An unwavering resolution appeared in Michael's eyes. With the system's help, no matter the cost, he planned to become a 6-star myth-level alchemist. At that time, he would find an existence equal or stronger than the Guardian Guild to associate himself. It was time he played the offensive instead of defensive. Since they decided to mess with the people he cares about without thinking about any consequences, he would make them regret crossing his path. "Let's start kicking asses by winning the upcoming championship tournaments," Nightmare reminded them about the tournaments. "Oh shit, I almost forgot about that. It's tomorrow, isn't it?" Gaia took her head back from his chest. "Nope, they postponed it by a week." "Why?" Nightmare just realized something as he looked at both of them. "You don't know, do you?" Chapter 296, Holy Fuck. "That was why I couldn't see any arch-energy radiation." Gaia's jaw slightly dropped hearing Nightmare explain that the cultivators lost the ability to sense someone else's cultivation level as they were used to. Nightmare noticed Gaia and Michael keep looking at each other with their brows arched up. "Don't tell me that you two were somehow involved," Nightmare sighed. It didn't really surprise him. Gaia was staring at Michael like a thief caught in the act. "You could say that," Michael grinned. "You're smiling." Nightmare tilted his head in confusion. As far as he knew, there was nothing good that could come out of the current world situation. Ever since Hydra's scream messed up arch-energy waves in the world, crimes of the rogue cultivators had been increased. The Hydra scream worked like an EMP that short-circuited the energy radiation of the world, producing many known and unknown issues. Most defense arrays relied on sensing the arch-energy radiations coming from a cultivator. Since the Hydra scream changed the way the radiation coming from someone's body, the arrays were rendered useless. Hence, the rogue cultivators capitalized on this opportunity to thieve, murder, and commit heinous crimes around the continent. The ability to hide the arch-energy radiation was what made Arya such a valuable asset to Michael. But now, practically everyone had her ability. Before we tell you what happened in the southern continent, I have a few things to take care of. Let's return to the sect. And thanks to you, we're homeless now. Michael flicked her on the forehead. "That's what I said." Nightmare laughed as she rolled her eyes. "You two are not gonna let this one go, are you?" "Nope." Nightmare shook his head before taking off to the sky along with Michael and Gaia. Flying for a couple of minutes from the hilltop was enough to reach the ruins of their home. Michael slowly descended from the sky to see several disciples cleaning up the ruins. The disciples were shifting through the rubbles to salvage something, yet all they could manage to salvage were big pieces of the sofa, Michael's bed, and the board of Majestic. Brother Ghost, the disciples welcomed Michael with fear-mixed smiles. They avoided eye contact with Gaia. After seeing what she did, they were freaked out. Why are you guys doing this? Get the adventurers or the construction's workers for this job. To make the sect the strongest, almost all the disciples needed to be better than the disciples of the other sections. By better, Michael meant powerful, disciplined, smart, hardworking, and humble, unlike those pricks like Alex or Selena. But Brother Ghost, it would cost us, a female disciple who was in the sect from its downfall said, scratching her head. The dwarf is gonna ask for a good chunk of coins anyways, so leave all the hard work to him and his people. He won't give a discount because you cleaned this mess. That makes sense. Knowing Master Fover, the disciples agreed with Ghost. Now go cultivate. Michael waved off the disciples before making his way towards Claire's manor. Adjacent to Claire's manor was Raylene's home. It was not as big or fancy as Claire's manor because it was just a temporary residence for Raylene. Michael planned to build her a manor suitable for a 5-star chef. Several disciples were standing in the mini garden before Claire's manor. When they saw the three of them approaching them, they made way for them. Brother Ghost, Sister Elia, Nightmare, the disciples greeted them respectfully. Michael nodded with a smile, giving some of them a pat on the shoulder on his way inside. The disciples who received the pat from Michael became electrified. Because they were new to the sect, they only heard about Ghost through the senior disciples' stories. He was a local legend. They kinda expected him to be like the celebrity disciples like Alex, Selena, or Victoria, who wouldn't even look at the ordinary disciples like them. Yet not only Michael smiled at them, he even patted some of them on the shoulder. It was a simple gesture from Michael's side, but for the disciples, it was a big thing. Wow, he looks so different in close. Did you see that? He smiled at me. He patted me on the shoulder. The seniors were right about him. He's so friendly. He has a dragon. What do you think his current cultivation level would be? And how strong is the dragon and Sister Elia? The disciples began to chatter among themselves, looking at Michael walking into the manor. The smell of this world's paint was sweet, kinda like roses. Even after completing the construction work a month ago, the smell still lingered in the air. The corridors were rather empty with no vases, paintings on the walls, or chandeliers to light the house. Only when he reached the hall, he could see a few crude sofa sets as well as a chandelier decorating the hall. The sofa sets were made of bamboo as a large tea table made of redwood occupied the space before the sofas at the center. Claire and Elder Reiner were discussing something with serious faces. He saw Cindy sitting on the sofa beside Claire. Cindy wrapped her hands around Claire's hand. When Cindy noticed Michael, her face brightened up like someone lit a candle in her head, but when she saw Gaia, the little girl hid her face behind Claire's hand in fear. Realizing that she made Cindy afraid of her, Gaia really regretted her actions. Cindy kept gawking at Gaia hiding behind Claire's hand. Ghost, Elder Reiner, you look good. Every time he saw Elder Reiner, he reminded Michael of Gandalf the White with his long white beard and white robes. If he had a staff in his hand, he would be exactly like Gandalf. You look different. What happened to your hair? Elder Reiner laughed. The situation somehow turned less solemn. Come here. To Michael's surprise, Elder Reiner stood up to give him a hug. Welcome back, young man. Meanwhile, Gaia went to sit beside Claire, right next to Cindy. She grabbed Cindy's head, slowly turning it towards her. What? Are you afraid of me now? Even the grown-ups were terrified when Gaia lost control of her anger. Therefore, it was understandable when Cindy felt the same way as the others. Michael and Elder Reiner sat on the sofa silently looking at them. Nightmare quickly shrunk himself so he could rest on Michael's lap comfortably. A little, Cindy said meekly. I'm sorry that I made you afraid, Cindy. But didn't I say I don't like scared little girls? I'm not scared. Her voice sounded like a scared cat. But you're scared of me, she asked, lifting Cindy from the sofa by arms. Claire couldn't help smiling seeing how Cindy was in Gaia's arms like a puppy. Look at you, avoiding eye contact. I won't speak to you again if you're afraid of me. No, she quickly shook her head after getting threatened by Gaia. Are you scared of me? She asked again. Please promise you won't stop talking to me, Cindy pleaded with teary eyes. Cindy loved Gaia and Michael too much as she couldn't even imagine either of them staying mad at her. Promise me you won't be scared anymore and will be a strong girl. I promise. I can't hear you. I promise. Cindy raised her voice. Gaia smiled, embracing the little girl. Cindy hugged her back before giving a loving kiss on Gaia's cheek. Claire ruffled Cindy's head as Elder Reiner laughed in joy. Teacher, you're here. Suddenly he heard Olivia's voice as he turned back to see her rushing towards them with a letter in her hand. So have you done trying to kill us? Thanks to you, teacher is now homeless. Olivia didn't seem afraid of Gaia but mad at her. Instead of handing over the letter to Michael, she yelled at Gaia with her hand on her waist. Nightmare immediately burst into laughter. For God's sake, this is the third time I heard he's homeless thanks to me. Gaia smacked her forehead. You can stay in the guest room, Claire said, but Michael shook his head. Thank you, sect leader, but I'm planning to go to Rivertown, so I'll stay in the restaurant. I'll also send Daniel or Ricky to bring Fover here to build a new home and Majestic, in addition to his trip to the Rivertown. Michael didn't want to stay with Claire because it might create some unwanted rumors that might affect her future when it comes to marriage. Take a seat, Olivia. Claire didn't force Michael as she just nodded at him. She then turned her gaze towards Olivia. In Michael's eyes, Claire seemed different than the girl he first met. The way she was sitting, her posture, the way she talked, everything changed. Like a proper leader, she sat leaning back while keeping one leg on top of the other. They were the signs of a person with a strong heart and mind. He was glad to see that the sect leader isn't a scared little girl anymore. She had grown into a proper leader as he expected. Olivia sat beside Michael, keeping some distance between them. What's in your hand? Michael asked. It's from the Alchemist Guild. Her eyes sparkled in excitement. The letter came for you last week. I think it's the invitation. Her hands shivered while handing over the letter to Michael. The seal was still in place. On top of the letter, Michael saw the green veins coiled around the letter A written in beautiful calligraphy. The crest was etched on the letter in gold, showing the grandiose of the guild. Under their gazes, Michael broke the seal to open the letter. After a few seconds, they saw Michael snicker. Humph, the Gauls. Michael threw the letter on the table as Olivia's eyes went wide in shock. In her eyes, the Alchemy Guild was the highest existence among the alchemists. Many would die to receive a letter from the Alchemy Guild, yet he threw the letter like it was garbage. They want me to compete in the upcoming Grand Alchemists competition. After hearing Michael's words, they understood the reason behind his reaction. Compete? They should invite you to judge. Asking a 5-star alchemist to compete with amateurs is an insult. Elder Reiner raised his brows. So you're not gonna go? Olivia asked. I'm going to attend. Not to compete, but to show those idiots the difference between me and them. It's time they learned who's the real number 1 inch. Chapter 297. Why did they do that? Olivia mumbled under her breath. Just like Elder Reiner said, it was an insult to ask the second-best alchemist in the continent to compete in the tournament instead of asking to judge it. Compared to Ghost, she knew most of the alchemists are amateurs, including herself. She was nowhere near his level, yet she was considered one of the talented alchemists. I'd say we call all our allies to dinner and reveal your talents there before revealing to the Alchemist Guild. That way you have backing if things went wrong, Claire suggested. It was surprising that Michael was thinking exactly the same thing. When he first showed his talents to Claire and the elders, they were declining and Michael was just an unknown kid. However, everything had changed. The Sunrise sect wasn't declining anymore. They were becoming stronger and stronger each day, with new disciples joining and more disciples reaching higher cultivation stages. Besides, no one in their right mind would mess with Ghost or the sect because of Claire's grandfather, a soul refining stage cultivator. I'll ask Raylene to prepare the food, Claire said. I make sure our guests have plenty to drink. Elder Reiner went outside to order wine, leaving the rest of them behind. Since everyone's taking the initiative, I'll go hunt. You can't have dinner without meat, right? Now go play with your brother. Gaia put Cindy on the ground. What are you gonna do, brother? Can I stay with you? Cindy came to Michael. I have a few things to take care of. Well, play later. Michael ruffled Cindy's head with a smile. After everyone left the hallway, only Michael, Olivia, and Claire remained. Teacher, what did you mean by the real number 1? Olivia didn't know Michael could reach 90% purity every time without slipping a single percentage. Everyone including Gabriel claims he's the number 1 alchemist in the Elon continent. What's his purity level? Michael asked Olivia, leaning back on the sofa. 84% is the highest he could reach. Olivia adjusted her glasses. 84% not bad, but it's not this. He willed the system to give him the 90% healing potion he brewed for his personal use. Olivia was confused for a moment, trying to make sense out of his words. In a blink of an eye, she saw a vial with sparkling blue potion appear in Michael's hand. Her eyes immediately went wide as they seemed like they were about to pop out. The sweet fragrance being radiated by the potion filled the hall. This is words barely escaped Olivia's mouth. 84% pure potion was the highest she had ever seen. It was the better potion in her mind, even compared to her teachers. However, the potion in Michael's hand was far more superior to everything she had seen. She could feel the pure arch energy pulsating from the vial. 90% pure healing potion. Michael finished her sentence. She looked at Claire subconsciously to see her not as surprised as she was. Claire received a batch of these potions from Michael in case of emergencies and for her own personal use. Teacher, did you? What do you think? Michael kept giving answers before she could finish off her questions. She was stuttering in shock. Michael placed the potion beside Olivia to take a few moments with the potion. To expand his alchemy empire, he needed Olivia's father's expertise. Her father was Reginald Palmer, the vice president of one of the most influential merchant guilds, the Rainshade. With Nathan's Bradley family providing security services, if he could get Olivia's father on board, he would be able to start distributing his potions all over the continent. "I'll leave you two to your alchemy business," Claire giggled, looking at Olivia's dumbstruck face. "Ugh, sect leader, do you know where Ricky and Daniel are?" "They'd be at the herbal garden, thanks." She gave a slight nod at Michael before leaving the hall. "I didn't want to reveal my true abilities for obvious reasons, but it's time to show what I can really do to this continent." After taking in the shock for a couple of minutes, Olivia finally talked without stuttering. "Teacher, this means you're on the verge of becoming a legend and a 6-star alchemist. No one has seen a 6-star alchemist since the 5th Supreme Guardian, Andreas MacLeod." The mere mention of the name kindled a bad feeling in Michael's gut. The man eradicated the Order of Death and anyone who worshipped the Dark Lord. The last time Michael met a sliver of soul left behind by Andreas was when he ventured into the treacherous ocean. Michael never knew the Supreme Guardian was a 6-star alchemist until now. "I thought 6-star alchemists were myths." When he first asked Gaia about 6-star alchemists, she said they were myths. Many people do say that. They are not to be blamed because it has been roughly 3,000 years since the world has seen the Supreme Guardian. I read some notes about the Supreme Guardian. According to those notes, he was able to achieve 98% purity. Michael entered the system interface. "System, remind me, what are the requirements to become a 6-star alchemist?" 70,000 badass points to buy and learn the superior book of alchemy. Primordial fire and ancient elven rune of fire mastery. The system listed the requirements. He never even heard of them before. "How much would it cost me if I bought everything from you?" "That would be a great choice. I can give you all of them for only 800,000 badass points." The system sounded extremely excited. It really thought Michael would choose to buy them from the store instead of wasting his time and effort scouring this planet for the required items. "It seems I have to wait a little longer," Michael sighed. Reaching 800,000 points would take him at least 2-3 years, considering he avoids making unnecessary enemies. Moreover, he couldn't help thinking about searching for the items rather than buying them from the store. Of course, it would take time or even become an impossible task, yet he wanted to see whether he could find the items first before buying from the system. Good luck finding the primordial fires. The system threw him out of the interface. He saw Olivia staring at him with wide eyes. She was still in shock, thinking that she's studying under the number 1 alchemist in the entire continent who might become the first 6-star alchemist in 3,000 years. "Meet me at Raylene's home in 2 hours and keep this a secret between us." Michael stood up. "Of course, Teacher, can I ask you something? Looking at the way she was holding the potion, he knew what she's gonna ask. Yeah, you can keep it. Compare the potions to this and try to find the biggest differences between them. That's your next assignment. Thank you, teacher. She almost shouted in excitement. She ran like a bunny from the hall to study the potion. Leaving Claire's manor, he reached the herbal garden in a minute using the lightning dash spell. The use of the spell earned him almost 3,000 badass points from the disciples. When he reached the herbal garden, he saw dozens of disciples working the field, studying and tending to the herbs. The herbal garden was surrounded by a fence and a 3-meter-wide foundation dig for the glass dome. He looked down into the dig to see a green net above the ground. The net was there as a safety precaution in case someone fell into the hole, especially Cindy or her friends. Looking at the green fields blanketed the ground like a jade blanket, the colorful exotic flowers dancing in the wind, the glistening fruits hanging from 6-feet-tall trees, the sprouts craning their heads from the ground as well as the saplings made him feel proud. The air he inhaled was mixed with sweet and medicinal fragrance permeated from the herbs. He even saw several colorful flocks of birds that he had never seen in his life. Some of the birds were standing on the tree branches while some scoured through the ground for insects to eat. They were nature's pest killers, so the disciples let them do whatever they want without chasing them away. Besides, the sounds of the birds made the garden feel lively. Brother Ghost. He's here, don't mind me, continue your work, Michael said before the disciples start gathering around him like ants around sugar. He then searched for the garden to locate his 2 henchmen. His eyes automatically stopped at the place where he saw neatly stacked crates. Ricky was counting the crates while Daniel was writing something onto his notebook. Even after Gaia almost killed them along with the disciples when she destroyed Michael's home, the 2 henchmen didn't use it as an excuse to avoid working. They came straight to the garden to check the herb stocks. The 2 of them were the busiest people in the sect. In the morning, they would be at Rivertown, supervising the cleaning and miscellaneous works to be done in the restaurant. In the afternoon, they had to make sure the disciples harvest the right amount of herbs from the garden, as some herbs needed to be harvested and kept away from the sunshine as long as possible to increase the medicinal quality. After finishing their work at the herbal garden, they would spend the rest of their day cultivating. Gaia made it mandatory for them to cultivate. She even allocated potions and pills for them to speed up their cultivation. From the system storage, Michael took a white paper and quill to write down everything he needed before inviting his allies to the dinner. Lucifer had his fun. Now was time for Ghost to strengthen his alliances, start his alchemy empire, and finally, make steps towards destroying the Guardian Guild once and for all. Chapter 298, No Peeking Lizard. At the moment, inside one of the rooms in Raylene's home, Gaia was carrying Nightmare in her arms while closing his eyes using one hand. "I'm not peeking," Nightmare lied as he tried to peek through the gap between her fingers, yet he couldn't see anything. "Where's the food, bitch?" Nightmare suddenly heard a childish voice. "Whoa, what is that? Is that what you call a dragon?" "Looks small than I expected," Nightmare continued to hear the childish voice. It somehow sounded more like Gaia, only childish. "You ruined a good surprise, little shit," he heard Gaia cursing back. "Who is that?" Nightmare pushed down Gaia's palm with his hands to see a creature with 3 heads staring at him on the table. Vidora and Nightmare entered into a staring contest as they looked at each other without even moving their heads an inch. Gaia slowly put Nightmare on the ground. Nightmare started to circle the table cautiously before slowly moving forward towards the Hydra. "Imsarba, I guess you're our brother." Nightmare was stunned again to see the silver head talk in the voice of a male child. Besides, the silver head sounded exactly opposite to the white head who reminded Gaia of him. He then turned his gaze towards the black head, expecting it to speak. However, unlike the silver and the white head, the black head remained silent. "Enough circling, you overgrown lizard. Go fetch me something to eat." Ignoring Iag, Nightmare approached the Hydra step by step. Suddenly the door creaked open as Nightmare almost plummeted with the table in shock. It was Michael who entered the room. He saw Gaia having a laugh with Nightmare and the Hydra. "Come here," she pulled him closer, wrapping her arm around his. Both of them stood in the room's corner watching the Hydra and Nightmare. The scene reminded Michael of dogs meeting their cat sibling for the first time. Only Nightmare was the dog and the cat sibling was the Hydra here. "Hey, stop," Ayag growled, seeing Nightmare sniffing them. Ayag kept hitting Nightmare on the face with her head. "Who are they?" Nightmare gently picked them up with his hand. "Drop us or I'll chew your hand off." Ayag tried to wiggle herself out by chewing his hand. But Nightmare barely felt anything. "That little shit is Ayag, the nice one in the middle is Sarba, and the silent blackie is Kane. Together, we call them Vidora. Do you like them?" Gaia asked after introducing them to Nightmare. Nightmare once again stared at them from top to bottom. Then, to everyone's surprise, his vertical pupils became rounded as he hugged them, grinning. "I love them, they are so cute." "You stop." Ayag started to shout when Nightmare began to shower them with wet kisses. Gaia couldn't stop herself from scoping them off the floor before giving them a warm embrace. She hugged Michael with one hand while hugging the Hydra and Nightmare with another. They looked like a perfectly happy family. Placing a gentle kiss on Gaia's head, Michael willed the system to activate the runic teleportation. In a blink of an eye, they appeared in Michael's room in the Abyssal. When they looked at the room, they were startled. The room was spotlessly clean. The bed was made neatly like in high-end hotels. There was not a speck of single dust or broken piece of spider on his work table. Even the mirrors he placed on the wall to survey the kingdom were cleaned spotless. "Welcome, Lord Lucifer, Lady Gaia, Master Sarba, Miss Ayag, Master Kane." Nightmare was yet again startled by the stranger. He bared his teeth threateningly at the demon butler. "It's a pleasure to meet you again, Master Nightmare." "Huh? I never met you before. What are you?" Nightmare was taken back by surprise. "He's a demon, Nightmare. Just like Vidora, he came from another world. The three of you should go have a talk." Michael waved them off and went to his work table. Gaia saw stacks of crates appear around the table. The room was lit in green after Michael conjured his alchemy flames. "Do you need any help?" She came to his side. "I can manage, you go cultivate. We need to be in our best shape before the tournament starts." "All right." Gaia jumped on the bed to cultivate. The fusion stage bone still had some energy left in it for her to absorb. She flicked her wrist as the femur bone appeared in her hand. While she was cultivating, Michael began to brew potions and concoct pills for the Majestic. He continued to make pills and potions without a rest. Only Azazel accompanied him as Vidora and Nightmare fell asleep while Gaia was still cultivating. "Lord Lucifer, can I bring you anything to eat or drink? I saw bellberries in the forest." "This is the 8th time you asked this, Azazel. I'm not hungry, the arch energy keeps the body replenished." He took the last herb from a crate. Although Michael was not hungry, he wanted to eat something or drink a mug full of coffee to chase away the sleepiness. He had been making potions and pills for the last 14 hours without a break. It took a toll on his body as he was exhausted both mentally and physically. "But as your faithful butler, it's my duty to keep you in your best shape, Lord Lucifer. If I only has a physical body, I would have made you something myself. Why don't you try to make the undeads make me something?" "Absolutely not, Lord Lucifer. I won't let those filthy vile creatures defile your food. Making them clean your room and the Abyssal is the highest peak of my tolerance of them. Keep an eye on Dalar and his experiments. We can't let the Guardians sniff out this place," he ordered Dalar. Finally, Michael stretched his muscles, yet he didn't stand up. Azazel saw him close his eyes. Azazel thought he had fallen asleep, but after 5 minutes, he opened his eyes again. A black card appeared on the table when he opened his eyes. The card was metallic black. It looked simple yet elegant. On the card's center, one could see a skull embossed. A dragon similar to Nightmare coiled around the skull, while the letter G could be seen behind the skull and the dragon. "What do you think?" Michael asked Azazel. Azazel moved a bit closer to Michael to see the card clearly. "It's beautiful, Lord Lucifer. I assume this is the card you're going to give to your allies as Ghost." "Yep," Michael nodded. He picked up the card from the table, savoring the design. It cost him 50 badass points to design the card. To get 100 cards, he had to spend 4,998 badass points. The 2 points were discounted by the system. "What do you see?" Keeping the card in his hand, he asked Azazel. The skull is obviously related to your name, Ghost, as the skull often represents the dead and ghosts in this world. The dragon is Master Nightmare. As for the G behind the skull, the others might think it represents your name, but I think it represents Lady Gaia. You're right, Michael expected nothing less from his demon butler. As he said, the skull represented him, the dragon represented Nightmare, and the letter G represented Gaia. Except for the people in this room, no one could tell that the G represents Gaia. For others, the letter G was the first letter of Ghost. Hey Race, everything you asked. Long after the sun had risen from the horizon, Gaia entered their room in Abyssal. Michael was still sitting before his work table, brewing potions and connecting pills. She had never seen him overworking himself like this. He always used to take breaks or train with her, but for the last 2 days, he never even moved away from his work table. After looking into the space ring Ricky gave it to her, she could tell he's going to be busier than now. I also brought something for you to eat. A mug of hot coffee, fried rice, and a large piece of strawberry cake appeared on the table. The sweet smell of the coffee made him take a deep breath. His mouth automatically began water seeing the delicious food on the table. Raylene's food always had the tendency to make him feel hungry even when he was not. Where's Nightmare and Vidora? Michael looked around the room before asking. They are playing in the dark forest. Do you know Vidora is immune to the fear toxin in the forest? As she said, she took a bite from the cake. It might be because of Vidora's origin. Remind me to check what else Vidora is immune to later. Michael started to eat his food before she finished off like the cake. More than anything, he wanted the coffee to keep him awake. I sent the invitations to all our allies, including Kane family elders and Olivia's father. Let's see whether they accept our invitation to come to the sect. They will, Michael said. He did not doubt that. If they didn't capitalize on an opportunity when they see one, they wouldn't be where they are. After finishing his food, he took a long sip of coffee. He immediately felt refreshed. While drinking, he retrieved everything inside the space ring Ricky gave to Gaia. You want anything else? She asked. Just make sure the security has no holes. I've already hired the strongest adventure groups from the guild. I'm now going to interview them. Good. Before you go, how many spiders do you think we need to monitor the entire kingdom of Bredia? Finished with the fillers needed for this arc. From the onwards, we can finally dive into the good stuff. Chapter 299. The next day after Gaia gave the food to Michael, she came to his room to inform him about the dinner preparations. As she expected, he was still sitting in front of the work table building spiders. The table was filled with tiny spiders. Some of them were crawling on the table like they were alive. Everything's ready for dinner tonight, she came to his side. Good, I'm finished here. Michael waved his hand as all the 1,000 spiders on the table disappeared into the space ring in his hand. He then tossed the space ring to Gaia. How fast can you fly? Under a sky of perfect midnight velvet, under stars so brilliant they drew the eyes heaven-bound. The night was a special kind of blackness, the kind that wants only to hold the stars and help them to shine all the brighter. It was a warm black that hugged Michael no matter what, and within its safety, he could feel his own soul all the more clearly, that innocent inborn spark. Whether it was because he was born to be a Dark Lord, he felt stronger and safer in the dark. He was looking at the starry sky from the mountain peak. Despite the light produced by the half-moon and the millions of stars, he was barely visible with his full black attire. A few minutes passed by in peace. Only the silent night accompanied him until he saw a couple of Pegasus flying towards the sect. He took a few steps to drop down from the mountain peak. He felt the wind gushing against him. The gravity pulled him down faster and faster before he activated the lightning dash to fly. In a blink of an eye, he turned himself into a bolt of lightning to reach the sect. The dinner table was set in Claire's manor. Michael landed before the manor to see Ricky and Daniel waiting to welcome the guests. They wore gold-embroidered gray coat suits. The coat suit was not of the modern age but of the medieval era. Master Ghost, they bowed with absolute respect towards Michael. Guests are arriving. Be on your guard, yes. Yes, Master Ghost, Ricky stuttered. This was the first time he had been to a dinner like this. For a commoner like him, it was always difficult to interact with nobles. Daniel was able to hide his anxiousness. unlike Ricky, who was shivering from top to bottom. Relax. You just need to greet them and show them the way to the hall. Michael patted Ricky on the shoulder to give him some confidence. It's just we are commoners. That doesn't matter anymore. You work for me, that means you're on equal foot with most of the nobles. Now be on your guard and do what you were told. With a final pat to Ricky's back, Michael climbed the stairs to enter the manor. And Ricky, Daniel, just a few steps away from the front door, Michael turned back to call them. Try not to embarrass me and yourselves. As he said, he entered the manor, disappearing from their view. When Michael entered the manor, he was overwhelmed by the aroma emanating from the air. The aroma was so strong that he could basically taste the air. Following the aroma, he came to the hall where there was a large round table full of food. Mushroom soup, bitter greens with tomatoes the size of peas, rare roast beef slices as thin as paper, noodles in a green sauce, cheese that melts on your tongue served with sweet blue grapes. The disciples dressed in white tunics move wordlessly to and from the table, keeping the platters and glasses full. The centerpiece of the table was a honey-glazed pit-roasted forest boar. The golden brown meat glistened under the chandelier light. Brother Ghost, the disciples who were working as the servers today, greeted Michael. Continue your work, you'll be right back. Michael made his way towards Claire's room to meet her and Gaia. Meanwhile, the disciples finished decorating the dinner table with delicious foods cooked by Raylene. Nathan was flying behind his uncle Lord Malin on the Pegasus in silence. A trio of guards followed them behind. Under the darkness of the night, one couldn't see the five of them without using a spell. It was surprising for Nathan to see how quickly his uncle postponed or cancelled everything he had to do to attend the dinner hosted by Ghost. As the family head of the Bradley family, Lord Malin barely had time to cultivate, yet he made time for Ghost. Unlike his uncle, he didn't come to meet Ghost but his teacher Olivia. He wanted to ask a few questions regarding the upcoming alchemist tournament. They really turned the sect around, Lord Malin said in surprise, looking at the buildings on the ground. Normally the buildings in this continent would be lighted using torches. Only wealthy families and sects could afford to light their buildings using the chandeliers. Lord Malin didn't expect the Sunrise sect to be using chandeliers to light almost 50 to 60 buildings. In addition, the buildings themselves looked sumptuous with their unique architecture. For a moment, Nathan was unable to guess where they should land. Looking around the area, they found a majestic building with water fountains, a large garden, and several lamps decorating it. The manor was brightly lit from all the corners as it looked like it was painted with gold and silver. When they descended, Nathan saw two noblemen waiting at the entrance. Their group approached the two noblemen. Welcome to the Sunrise sect, Lord Malin, the head of House Bradley, and Lord Nathan. They were slightly surprised to see the two noblemen greeting them by bowing their heads. The nobles wouldn't bow their heads towards the other noble. Lord Malin was confused. By looking at the gold-embroidered dress they were wearing, they looked like nobles. Please follow me this way, honored guests. Nathan saw the young one gesturing at them to follow him. Nathan could see the youngster was nervous, yet he tried his best not to show it outside. With a nod, Lord Malin started to follow Ricky behind. The moment they stepped into the manor, all of them were overwhelmed by the aroma in the air. It immediately made their mouths water and their stomachs growl. Hey kid, is this the magic of the five-star chef I'm smelling? Lord Malin asked Ricky while taking deeper breaths. Yes, Lord Malin. Every single dish has been cooked by Lady Raylene herself. Taking another 20 or so steps, they finally reached the hall where several people were sitting around the dinner table filled with colorful, delicious food. Nathan saw his teacher Olivia sitting next to a middle-aged man with a brown goatee. His brown hair had patches of white hair above the ears. Other than Olivia and the man, Nathan saw a woman in her mid-30s occupying the chair next to the Sunrise sect leader Claire. She was not as beautiful as Olivia or Claire, yet she had a certain charm to her. Especially her skin that almost glistened. He had never seen such smooth, silky skin. When his eyes fell on the three old men enjoying their wines with broad smiles on their faces, Nathan was stunned speechless because they were the elders of House Kane, one of the most powerful families in Royal Land. Enjoy the dinner, honored guests, Bowing his head, Ricky left the hall as Lord Malin walked towards the table with Nathan before signaling the guards to stay outside. Lord Malin, the new family head of Bradley, Elder Walter welcomed Malin with a wide grin. "What took you so long?" Elder Martin asked while taking a long sip from his wineglass. Elder Edison acknowledged Malin by giving a slight nod before continuing to enjoy the appetizers, chili lime river shrimp cups. "Nice to see you again, Elder Walter, Elder Martin, Elder Edison." Malin greeted each of the elders with the utmost respect. Compared to the humongous existence like House Kane, House Bradley was nothing. Sitting on the same table with them equally could already be viewed as an honor and an opportunity. "Teacher." Nathan took a seat beside Olivia. He was the last to sit before they saw Ghost and Gaia walking towards them from the room on the other side of the hall. Everyone except Claire had a look of surprise on their faces. Ghost looked very different from the last time they saw him. Other than his choice of black dress, everything about him was changed. In simple words, he looked like a different person. "I'm honored to welcome you all to this dinner, ladies and gentlemen," he said, raising a glass of wine towards them as the girl beside him took the empty chair. "We're sorry about Disciple Jack, Ghost. We heard he was your friend," Elder Walter said. Michael wasn't surprised as he knew they might be keeping a tab on him and the sect. He would have done the same if he was in their shoes. "Me too, Elder Walter. First of all, I would like to thank you for accepting my invitation and attending this dinner on such short notice despite your busy schedules," Michael said. Putting the wine glass back on the table, he flicked his wrist as small rectangular wooden boxes appeared before each of them except Claire and Gaia. "I'm good at many things, but giving speeches was not one of them. So, I'll get straight to the point without wasting your time. Ladies and gentlemen, please open the boxes in front of you." As he said, he went straight to the point, avoiding unnecessary pleasantries. With his talents and what he was about to reveal, he didn't have to woo them with pleasantries. The man sitting next to Olivia was the first to open the box. The moment he lifted the box's top, his face was brightened by the light coming from inside the box. His eyes opened as wide as humanly possible. One by one, they all opened the boxes to have the same startled look on their faces. 90% pure potion. The man next to Olivia uttered the words, completely shocking everyone in the hall. Chapter 300. All of their minds went blank for a moment in shock. Except for Elder Walter Kane, who saw a 92% pure potion in a ruin a few decades ago during his time on the Azer continent, no one had seen a potion with more than 85% purity. Elder Edison gently picked up the glistening blue potion and the blood-red pill gently from the box. His hands slightly shivered holding the two. "Where did you get these?" Elder Edison asked. Everyone's gaze now fell on Michael, expecting his answer. "Made by yours truly," Michael let out a slight grin. He looked extremely proud. To some of their eyes, he even seemed arrogant. "Do you like demonstration, elders?" Although he asked, he didn't give time to answer as he already conjured the alchemy flames. Under their widened gazes, Michael threw the herbs into the fire. No one moved their eyes from Michael or even blinked an eye. Nathan had seen him concoct pills or brew potions without using a cauldron as all the other alchemists. No matter how many times he had seen it, his way of making pills and potions still made him speechless. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 2,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,600 badass points. The notification sounds rang continuously in his mind. He received more points than he initially expected. In a couple of minutes, a blue glistening potion resembling the one in the box floated above his hand. Every single one of them could tell that the two potions are the same, 90% pure. The sudden rude awakening made them lose their appetite. Nathan wanted to reach Ghost's level in the future. He knew reaching 80% purity would take him years of hard work. Yet after seeing Ghost was able to reach 90% purity, reaching his level seemed impossible. "Since when can you make pills and potions with 90% purity?" Elder Walter asked. A shaky smile started to emerge on his face as the surprise sank in his mind. "Since I turned 19, Michael paused for a moment before continuing. My mentor used to make me go into the god-forsaken dungeons finding ancient techniques and books. He never wanted me to hide my talents, but when I left my mentor's care, I learned that showing heaven-defying talent without the power to protect oneself is a recipe for disaster. So I pretended to be number 2 inch except for Gaia. No one knew he was lying through his teeth. By lying he had a mentor, he established a powerful figure behind him in their mind. This would make getting the family Kane's protection easier, as they would try to get his mentor's connection to strengthen their family. Besides, saying he had a mentor would be more logical than saying I have a system. Now I think it's time to reveal my talents to the world. Since I consider all of you as my friends, I wanted to show you this first. Everyone knew he has something of them to ask. Nonetheless, it felt good to be considered important, especially to the elders of Kane family. Let's be practical. Great talent comes with great danger. Revealing myself as the number 1 will put me in various dangers. No one likes to be bested by a youngster like me, especially those in the Alchemy Guild. And you want our protection. Elder Edison didn't beat around the bush. He just directly asked Michael. More like getting into a mutually beneficial relationship. Mutually what? Elder Edison didn't clearly get the meaning of Michael's words. You help me and I help you. Elder Martin broke it down into simple words for Elder Edison. I have to be honest, kid. Your talent is really astounding, but as you said, revealing your talents to the outside world makes you a target of many powerful entities. Helping you might get us into more trouble than it's worth. Elder Edison's words surprised most of them. However, Michael remained calm with his usual smile on his face. Since you're being direct with me, IDB to Elder Edison. You may be right, helping me might actually put those who protect me in danger. But Michael took the blue potion from the table, holding it in his hand to let everyone see the vial. Dangers often come with opportunities, and there are many families out there that would kill to capitalize on those opportunities. I bet I can become a court alchemist of any of the 4 kingdoms, even better, all of them. The way Michael calmly talked as well as his words reminded them that he's not desperate for their help. Rather, he was the one allowing them to help him. And when's the last time you met a 5-star alchemist who takes nothing but ancient artifacts and treasures to even consider making something for you? Gaia asked, looking at the elders. They had to agree with her. There were only a handful of 5-star alchemists in the continent. They would all take either an ancient artifact or extremely valuable treasures as the payment for making pills or potions for them, not gold coins. So you're not planning to give your services for treasures or artifacts like the rest of the 5-star alchemists? The man next to Olivia asked. A well-hidden interest could be seen in his eyes. That brings me to why I invited Lord Malin of House Bradley and you, Lord Reginald, the vice president of Rainshade Merchant Guild. Michael introduced Olivia's father in case someone didn't know his identity. By noticing the way Nathan's looking at Reginald, it was obvious this was the first time he met Olivia's father. Like Lucifer had Maxine, Gibson, Tiberius, Heinberg as the core group, the people sitting at the dinner table were the core group of Ghost except for Nathan. In the future, they would need to work together, so they needed to get acquainted. I'm planning to expand the Majestic, and I'd like your help to do that. Lord Malin is already on board to take care of the security. Of course, my dad will help you, teacher. You have my word. Dad, say something. Olivia elbowed Reginald as the man revealed an embarrassed smile. I have to discuss with the president, but I can assure you that he will get on board. We just need to iron out some financial matters. Since you're my teacher who charges not a single coin for teaching me, my dad will get you the best deal possible. Won't you, Dad? Olivia glared at her father, giving him a death stare. Unlike the others, Elder Walter didn't control his laughter. It seems you don't call the shots, Reginald. Reginald sighed. We can talk about this in detail later, Lord Reginald. And elders, Michael turned his gaze towards the 3 elders. The card I gave you is a sign of our friendship. It will give you direct access to me, and my services are free of charge, no questions asked. Take this as gratitude for offering your protection for the sect. I have one last announcement to make. As you probably know, Raylene, my friend, is a 5-star chef. We are opening a restaurant in Rivertown next week. I'd be honored if you all came to the opening with your families. Now, please enjoy the dinner. My men outside will take you to me if you want to meet me later. Michael raised the wine glass one more time before leaving the dinner table. He wanted them to enjoy the dinner while making up their minds about helping him, especially the elders of House Cain. They were the biggest pieces of pawns in his game. Earlier, when they agreed to offer their protection, they didn't stand to make enemies out of the alchemists of Guild. This time, it was different. People like Gabriel might be pissed when Michael reveals himself as the number one. As far as he knew, the Alchemist Guild was unlikely to go to war with a powerful existence like House Cain. An official alliance would have to come from people above the elders in the family hierarchy. This dinner was just a way to get the elders to make those people agree to the alliance. Michael and Gaia stood before a window in an empty room. They were enjoying the view of the starry sky in peace when they heard someone knocking on the door. "Come in," Michael said. Soon the door creaked open to reveal Ricky, who was leading Reginald to him. "Master Ghost, Elder Walter asked me to give you this." Ricky handed over a sealed letter with the House Cain crest on before leaving the room. "Lord Reginald," Michael shook Reginald's hand. "Miss Elia," after Ghost, Reginald shook Gaia's hand. "I assume you're here to talk about the financial matters?" Reginald nodded. "How many potions and pills can you give us a month, Master Ghost?" "You're more suited to answer that question than me, Lord Reginald. Assuming you want to target the entire continent, I'd say 600 potions a month would be best." Both Michael and Gaia were surprised to hear him. They expected the number to be much higher than 600. Looking at their surprised faces, Reginald smiled. "Since you're giving your knowledge to my daughter without charging, I'll return the favor by letting you in on a trade secret. Always keep the demand higher than the product availability. People need to search everywhere to get their hands on your pills and potions, Master Ghost. If they could get them easily, demand would eventually dry out and price would go down." Michael couldn't help wondering how his products could lose demand, yet he avoided arguing with Reginald because he was the merchant who knew about business more than him. Therefore, he decided to let Reginald do what he does best. "All right, we take your advice. Now, shall we discuss the price and your cut?" With a wave of her hand, she placed 2 sofas on the room for them to sit. "I need to take this moment and thank every single one of you who reads my story and supports me. Reaching 300 chapters wouldn't have been possible without you guys and gals. I'm truly out of words to show my gratitude. The only way to show my gratitude is by giving you more quality chapters. I've been constantly working on improving the quality of the already published chapters and doing my best to pump out chapters with minimum errors. Thank you again. Yours truly." Chapter 301. "So 20% is the lowest you can go?" Gaia asked. "If it was up to me completely, I would not even take a cut considering what you're doing to Olivia. However, the Merchant Guild rules are pretty strict. I have to convince those old muckers to invoke the Golden Opportunity Rule to get you this 20%. I have to call in every favor. 20% will do then." Michael knew Reginald was doing his best. The man did not seem like swindling Michael but genuinely trying to get him the best deal possible. 20% for you, 10% for House Bradley. You said you can sell a potion or pill for the price of an average of 80,000. 600 into 80,000 is 48 million. Minusing the cuts, 14. 4 million. Well, get 33. 6 million. Michael was really surprised to see her mathematical skills. She was like a human calculator. She didn't even blink doing the calculations. "Since our income will surpass 10 million, we need to pay the bloody taxes. What's the going tax rate of the kingdoms?" It took Reginald a couple of seconds to answer as he was stunned by the girl's skills and numbers. Only girls coming from royal families or prominent noble families received such high education. This meant the girl obviously either a lady of a powerful noble family or a princess. According to Olivia, they knew nothing about both of their origins. Reginald, however, now narrowed down into 2 possible options for Elia's origins. 5% in Bredia, 8% in Kethin, 10% in Royal Land, 7 in Draddle and 10 in Thugia. "Fuck," Gaia punched the sofa's arm. "We need to give 40%? Relax, there might be some ways to reduce or even get a waiver from tax from the kings." Michael patted her on the shoulder to calm her down. "It's impossible, Master Ghost." Michael turned to see Reginald shaking his head. The royal families alone won't fix the tax rate. They discuss with the noble families and agree on a tax rate together. To change the tax rate, all of them had to be on board. They won't make an exception for you because if they did, there might be several other important figures who would start to ask for tax reduction. This will complicate things, so no matter the situation, they won't change the tax rate for a single person. It's either tax rate increases or decreases for the kingdom as a whole. Trust me, it's better to pay the taxes. Besides, tax evasion is a serious crime in the eyes of the Guardian Guild. Michael sighed inside. The Bloody Guardian Guild was in every step of his path to greatness. Although 40% of his income was a huge chunk, he knew it was better to pay the tax as Reginald suggested. 40% tax, 30% cuts, that means we'll get only 14. For million. If we take into the maintenance of our herbal garden, we'll roughly get 14. 2 million a month. That's more than many noble families make a month, Master Ghost. The Rain Shade will take care of paying the taxes and everything. You just need to sign an agreement and give us a payment method to put the gold each month. Gaia nodded before turning her head to look at Michael. It's time we get a pay cube from the Grand Spire Bank. Michael let Gaia handle the negotiations while he opened the letter given to him by the Kane family elders. Come to Kane family compound in Royal Land before the championship tournament begins. Michael read the words written on the letter in his mind. It was obvious that the Kane family needs him to do something for them before they agree to offer their protection. Kenda expected this. After all, there was no such thing as freebies in this world. The lights are out, get ready. There were 3 figures hiding in the forest surrounding Claire's manor. Due to the darkness, one could not see them except for several glistening stones in their hands. The stones were in a perfect diamond shape, radiating a faint navy blue light. They have a dragon and a soul refiner. We don't need to wake either of them. Everything must be in place before the young master arrives. The figures were talking in husky voices as they continued to hide the stones in the bushes, under the tree roots, and on top of the branches. They continued to place several stones deeper into the forest while keeping an eye on Claire's manor. It's done, we just need to lure him out somehow. Remember, we only need him. The sound-sucking array in place. Good. The young master said he'd be asleep after dinner. We need to do something to wake him up and come to us. What kind of cultivator sleeps every day like a commoner? Apparently he is. How do we wake him up without the others? Shoo, something's moving. The 3 figures suddenly went silent as they heard a rustling sound coming from the forest. Have you 3 idiots done everything I ordered you to? Regardless of the cat's eye potion they drank, they could barely see what's in front of them. Yet, they immediately recognized the person as their young master after hearing the voice. Yes, young master. We were just thinking about how to wake him up and make him come to us. That's beyond the limit of your brains, the young master said. The 3 servants waited for him to see how their young master was going to wake Ghost up. Instead of doing what they were expecting, the young master walked towards a tree. He placed his hand on the tree as a symbol of a tortoise appeared on the tree. It glowed in gold color for a few seconds before fading away into the tree. He continued to place the runes in a large circle. Each time he placed a rune on the tree, it glowed brighter and brighter. The glow of the runes helped the servants see their young master clearly. He wore dark brown armor made of what looked like a magical beast skin. One of the servants who saw the armor had a look of utter shock on his face. Young master. Is that the Blackwing Saurus armor? Surprisingly you're correct. Get 1,000 gold in my name. The young master's words made the servant's heart jump out in joy. This was why they worshipped him no matter how many times he cursed or beat the crap out of them. End of the day, the young master always took care of them. Young master, look. Suddenly another servant pointed at Claire's manor. Thanks to the cat's eye potion, they could see a figure walking out of the house. Well, the prey has come outside. Unlike the servants, the young master drank a high-quality cat's eye potion. He couldn't help smiling, thinking that he was stalking the person who brewed the potion in the first place. Ghost. Are the recording stones well hidden? Yes, young master. Good, I want to record his every single move. Now get out of here. The servants quickly ran away from the place, leaving the young master alone. After seeing his servants retreat to a safe distance, He flicked his wrist as a longbow appeared in his hand. The young master raised the bow as an arrow made of sparkling silver energy materialized out of thin air. Taking a long breath to steady his aim, he released the arrow. The arrow pierced through the air at extreme speed. Just when the arrow was about to hit its target, the young master saw Ghost catch the arrow in the midair. The arrow shattered in his hand. "Take the bait," the young master grinned, seeing Ghost look in the direction where the arrow came from. As the young master calculated when he studied Ghost, he used the speed spell. It took him only a couple of seconds before hearing the cracking noise of the lightning bolts. The young master's bow disappeared from his hand. He remained calmly expecting his target to arrive. Suddenly, the runes he previously placed glowed brighter and brighter, producing a faint whistling sound. Following the glowing runes, a faint dome of blue energy appeared around in a 5-meter radius. Inside the dome, the lightning bolts disappeared to reveal his target, Ghost. The light produced by the golden rune revealed one to another. The young master was covered from head to toe with body-fitting black wingsaurus armor and a thick mask covering his face. Only his eyes remained uncovered. On the other side, Ghost stood there without a shred of fear or confusion in his eyes. He was calm despite the sudden ambush. His reaction somewhat confused the young master. "Do you have a reason for trying to kill me?" Ghost asked. "Trying to kill you? No. I just want to become a better, stronger fighter. And you're gonna help me. How am I gonna do that?" "By fighting me, how else?" The young master leaped at Ghost like a panther. Sharp silver claws began to grow from his fingers while the adrenaline filled his body, making him excited. "Where do you clowns come from?" The young master saw Ghost shake his head. Despite being called a clown, the young master remained calm. He was trained to control his emotions during a battle. Therefore, Ghost's technique of making his opponents mad wouldn't work on him. "Ghost, meet your exorcist." As the words escaped the young master's mouth, the battle between them finally started. Chapter 302. As the young master expected, 2 swords materialized in his hand from his space ring. The swords didn't look like they were forged by a star-level blacksmith. Rather, the sword looked plain and simple. The young master evaded all of Ghost's slashes easily. He was able to calculate each and every single move of Ghost. While evading a slash that aimed at his chest, the young master landed a kick on Ghost's chest, pushing him backward. With swift movements, the young master jumped back to create some distance between them. "I'm disappointed, Ghost." The young master disappointingly shook his head. He could see the lightning bolts crackling around Ghost's body, yet whenever he tried to use his speed spell, the rune the young master placed on the trees stopped Ghost. "It seems you're just overrated," the young master said. For the first time since he met Ghost, he saw a flicker of anger emerge in Ghost's eyes. When Ghost leaped at him, the young master flicked his wrist as 2 rounded shields appeared in his hands. Cling, cling, cling. The 2 shields deflected Ghost's sword slashes. The clash between the sword and the shield produced sparks of fire. Both of them moved at an extreme speed, as a normal human being would be able to see nothing but a blur. Ghost's swords couldn't even inflict a single cut on the young master's body through the 2 shields. The young master noticed Ghost's movements becoming more and more frantic. There was no finesse or techniques in his swordsmanship, just mad slash and dashes. "They'll give you a handicap, let's see if you can hit me then," the young master snickered before throwing away the 2 shields on the ground. The very next moment he threw the shields down, Ghost's sword slashed his shoulder. However, the young master never even felt a sting, as the black wingsaurus armor completely protected him from suffering any damage. Ghost stopped attacking to take a few steps back. "Black wingsaurus armor, interesting," the young master tapped his chest. Since he wore a mask, Ghost couldn't see the snicker on his face. "Don't tell me you're gonna blame the armor for your lack of skills?" His disappointment in Ghost turned into anger. He expected Ghost to at least put up a decent fight, yet Ghost was hardly a challenge for him. "It seems like you can only beat little girls." The young master waved his hand as the 2 shields flew back to his hands. Unlike before, a symbol that looked like wings started to glow on the shield's surface. Giving Ghost no more time, The young master threw the two shields as they soared through the sky. Plop, plop. One shield hit Ghost in the face while the other bashed him in the chest. He was pushed back several steps behind after reciting the hit. Blood trickled down from the corner of Ghost's mouth. After hitting Ghost, the shields didn't fall to the ground but flew right back into the young master's hands like a boomerang. He continued to throw the shield, hitting Ghost again and again. "Come cast your defense spell," the young master shouted at Ghost to see his defense spell. He studied all of Ghost's arsenal to come up with counterattacks. He used the shields to make Ghost's sword attacks useless while placing the tortoise rune circle to prevent him from using his speed spell. He didn't need to use any runes for Ghost's lightning attacks as his Blackwing Saurus armor would protect him from any kind of attacks of anyone under Soul Refining Stage 1. The only spell the young master was yet to see was Ghost's defense spell. Ghost looked exhausted while wiping off the blood from his face. Soon, the young master realized the reason behind why he isn't using the defense spell. After hitting Ghost with the shield for almost the 80th time, the young master stopped for a moment. "Let me guess, your defense spell will only protect you from the body strengthening stage cultivators or below. Not a good defensive spell, is it?" The young master chuckled. Regardless, fighting with Ghost was a disappointment. At least he got to improve his rune mastery as well as write off a competitor who stood in his way to win the championship. "You should stick only to alchemy from now on, Ghost. At least, you're somewhat good at it compared to your fighting skills. I now know you pulled some kind of trick to win Heaven's Gate competition." While Ghost was taking heavy breaths, the young master put one shield back into his space ring. "Honestly, I don't give a damn about Heaven's Gate competition, so I won't poke into it too much. But the championship tournaments, I do give a damn, so heed my warning. If you dare step on the ring, I won't be as merciful as now." As the last word escaped his mouth, the young master threw the shield with enough force that sent Ghost flying back. The young turned back, slowly ascending to the air. The shield flew right back to him as he flew into the clouds without even turning back to see Ghost. In his mind, Ghost was not a worthy competitor to him. He was just another overrated prodigy in Elon. He was not even worried about the recording stones he asked his servants to hide around the battle area. As far as he was concerned, he wasted his time studying Ghost. He knew that he would have defeated Ghost even if he didn't come up with countermeasures for Ghost's spells. The fuck was that? Why didn't you kill him? Although Michael didn't need any assistance, Gaia still came to help him up. She was shivering in anger. Before even Michael could activate the APD, she tore a long cloth piece from her coat to wipe the blood off from his face. "Did you do what I asked?" Michael asked. The scratches on his face quickly healed after the APD injected the healing potion into his body. "Please tell me we're gonna go kill him and his family." Despite his wounds being healed completely, she still gently rubbed his face with the cloth. The love and care in her eyes really moved Michael. He forgot about the ambush for a moment to enjoy the tender care. "Do you think he's the one who killed Jack?" she asked. "No. This guy gets off by defeating someone at his level or stronger. If he met Jack, he wouldn't even acknowledge Jack as this clown is too arrogant to notice people like Jack. That doesn't mean we should let him live. If you hadn't stopped me, I would have ripped that bastard into pieces." Because of the eyes of darkness, Michael was able to see the young master's cultivation level. The young master was 5 levels below him, core formation stage level 3. Considering his rune mastery, anyone on the same level or a level or 2 would have a hard time defeating the young master. The young master was prepared to battle Ghost, hence he placed the right runes and came up with suitable strategies to restrict Michael's spells and attacks. If Michael wanted to kill him, he could have simply let Gaia put an arrow through his eyes as they weren't protected by the Blackwing Saurus armor. "Relax, I just wanted to see what a rune master could do in a real battle. Anyone who could afford a Blackwing Saurus and rare shields must have a powerful backing. If I didn't stop you, you would have killed him and ended up making a powerful enemy, but that doesn't mean he gets off the hook easily." A devilish grin emerged on Michael's face. "What are we gonna do?" Gaia became excited to get revenge on the young master. "You'll see." The next morning was a cloudy one. The clouds diffused the daylight to a soft, gentle sweetness. Even when flying under the clouds, Michael could feel cozy under his clothes. The sunlight moved much like the ocean, showing the blue amid the whitish dove gray, a medley of silvers that ripple outwards to adorn the sky. He could have used the runic teleportation to reach the royal land. However, he wanted to spend more time with Nightmare, Vidora and Gaia. Therefore, he decided to fly for a day before activating the runic teleportation. What are you munching on? Ayag craned her neck to see what's in Gaia's hand. Currently, Vidora relaxed in Michael's inside coat pocket while Nightmare leisurely rested on Michael's right shoulder. No. She looked like a chipmunk with her cheeks bloated due to the biscuits inside her mouth. She was afraid the three of them would steal the cookies, so she ate them as fast as she could. Don't lie to me, bitch. Give us half of your hoard, Ayag threatened Gaia. If it wasn't for the other two heads remaining calm inside Michael's pocket, the white head would have jumped outside to steal Gaia's cookies. One day, I'm gonna roast you and sell you as a delicacy in our restaurant. Come on, give them a cookie, Nightmare said as Gaia rolled her eyes. I did give them, like, 24 cookies. Don't fall for their tiny body, they will eat you whole if they were allowed to, especially that white little shit. Nightmare's eyes opened wide in surprise. Humph, only 24, not 200, Ayag snickered. They continued to bicker along the way while Nightmare and Michael chose not to interfere between them. After flying for almost half a day, Michael activated the runic teleportation to reach the royal land. Chapter 303. When the sun disappeared into the horizon, Michael appeared in the alley behind the Old Ship Tavern. As usual, the tavern was buzzing with the crowd. Michael and Gaia put on dark hoods to cover their faces while Nightmare shrunk himself to hide within Michael's coat pocket. If this was any other day, Michael wouldn't have hidden his identity but strolled around the kingdom with Nightmare on his shoulder to spread his legend as well as earn badass points. However, the letter left by the Kane family elders gave off a sense of secrecy. Showing himself to the public wouldn't be a good idea if the Kane family wants anonymity with what they plan to ask of him. The city seemed busier in the evening than in the morning. Gaia led him through the large lane going towards the north side of the city. Both sides of the lane had lines of lamps lighting the lane. The street and the shops were filled with people. Occasional street food vendors called out to anyone who looks in their ways. Look at that. While walking through the crowd, Gaia pointed at a light lamp. The light lamp had a poster stuck on it. He noticed several posters on the walls, on the lamps, and even on billboards above some buildings. Michael recognized the faces on the posters. Most of them had Alex Fisher's face while the rest of the most contained Selena's and Adam Kane's faces. 5 gold coins for Master Alex Fisher figurine. You want to dress like Miss Selena? This is the place for you ladies. Get your Kane shirts to show your support for Master Adam Kane. Jason Myers Fans Club is this way. We have Miss Sabrina's sword props. The further he walked, the more he saw the merchants selling all kinds of stuff. You know, I heard our faces are everywhere in the river town, Gaia said in a husky voice. Michael noticed a few disciples of the Sunrise sect running around in late hours. Before now, he thought they were dealing with their personal stuff. It seemed like the disciples and the Rivertown people were planning something to surprise them when he visited Rivertown to open his restaurant. The people of Rivertown worshipped him for several reasons. First, he protected the town from the Netherals. Second, the Majestic created lots of traffic as many nobles and people traveled through the Rivertown to get to the sect. This gave a new life to Rivertown's boat services and small shops. Third, everyone called Michael Ghost of Rivertown. The name carried weight. The bandits stopped harassing the merchants and the people coming to Rivertown, assuming that the Rivertown is protected by Ghost. Nightmare's recent cleaning of bandits strengthened the thought even further. If Royal Land was the domain of powerful houses such as House Kane and House Fisher, the Rivertown was his domain. The entire town planned to show their support for Ghost and Elia. Considering Michael didn't get the chance to visit the Rivertown since he came to the sect from the southern continent, he never saw the preparations for the tournament. While taking a look at the tournament celebrations, they came before a large junction where they saw several lanes branching out from the junction center. At the start of each lane, a signboard was placed with only a crest etched on it. Michael looked at each signboard for the Kane House crest. With the help of the light lamps, Michael was able to locate the signboard before walking the lane to reach House Kane Manor. Unlike the street he came from, the lane was void of people. Only beautiful crimson red pine trees stood like guards on either side of the lane. Aren't they supposed to have some guards patrol around here? Nightmare whispered from inside his coat pocket. He was right as Michael too searched the area for guards, yet he couldn't even see a single guard. You won't find guards because they have hundreds of runes placed along this lane to alert the manor the moment someone steps foot here. The Kane Manor probably is watching us. Just as she said, Michael began to notice several life signs around them through his environmental scanning map. Some of them were flying way above the clouds while some of them blended with the foliage. Eventually, after walking for almost 10 minutes on the lone road, the lane opened up to reveal a huge land with a grand castle standing majestically in the distance. When Gaia said Kane Manor, he expected to see a manor, not a frickin' castle. 5 thin, square towers surrounded the castle in almost a perfect circle. Around this incredible castle were connected by giant, chunky walls made of white stone. Stylish windows were scattered thinly around the walls in fairly symmetrical patterns, along with symmetric holes for archers and artillery. A huge gate with heavy wooden doors, a regular bridge, and large crenellations offered a warm haven within these cold, isolated lands, but it was not the only way in when one knew the castle's secret passages. Lush fields of crops surrounded the castle walls, providing the inhabitants with food all year round. This castle looked well preserved, but without knowing its history, it was impossible to tell if it's a newly built castle or a well-kept one. The castle looked majestic under the light of the moon. Not only Michael but also Nightmare peeked his head out of Michael's coat to enjoy the castle's beauty. Stop gawking, you two. Compared to my castle, this is like a poor hut. As Gaia rolled her eyes, a bright light dashed towards them like a shooting star. The light gradually slowed down to reveal Elder Walter's smiling face. Welcome to Kane Manor, kids. More like a castle. Michael let out a burst of laughter. The elder laughed with him proudly before leading Ghost into the castle. The three of them took off to the sky instead of walking. Michael could see the castle's ground from the sky more clearly. As any typical beautiful castle, the Kane Manor had a front lawn, spacious backyard fountains, barracks, herbal garden, and various other ornaments to decorate the castle even more. They slowly descended through a door on the roof to land on the throne hall. Huge braziers half enclosing each of the 6 ivory columns light up the entire throne hall and paint the hall a range of yellows and oranges. The illustrations of a kingdom in the sky on the slanted ceiling dance in the flickering light while statues look down upon the mosaic floor of this majestic hall. If the castle was impressive, the throne hall made Michael speechless. The vermilion rug splits the entire room in half and was matched by the thinner ones on either side of the hall, while pennant banners with gilded ridges the walls. Between each banner sat a small altar full of candles, many of which have been lit and in turn illuminated the artistic depictions of late heroes below them. Huge windows were concealed by draperies colored the same vermilion as the banners. The curtains had been adorned with fine patterns and intricate embroidery. At the far end of the hall, a grandiose throne of obsidian remained in front of a giant painting of the kingdom and was adjoined by 6 equally lavish seats for the higher officials of the Kane family. The throne was covered in gilded illustrations. Fixing on each of the wide armrests is a carved petal. The light pillows were a dark vermilion. These too had been adorned with adorned quilting. Those waiting to meet the Kane family elders could do so on the abundance of luxurious and comfortable maple benches, all of which were facing the throne in a V-shape. Those of higher standing could instead take seats in the luxuriant balustrades overlooking the hall. Elder Walter led Michael and Gaia towards the luxurious seats nearest to the throne. "Wait here, Ghost." Elder Walter gestured to Michael to take a seat before clapping his hands. Soon, 2 young maids came running to Michael's side. "Take care of them," Elder Walter said to the maids before leaving the throne hall. "They'll take hot water with a drop of lemon, please," Michael told the maids. They looked surprised as they expected him to order expensive wines or delicacies. "Same for me too. Right away, young master, young miss." The 2 maids rushed back into the kitchen, leaving Michael and Gaia alone in the throne hall. Interesting choice of drinks. Suddenly Michael heard a powerful voice reverberate in the throne hall. They looked up to see a figure coming down through the roof door they came through earlier. Standing 6'4" tall, this white-skinned man had an intimidating feel about him. He had a round face, a flat nose, angled lips, and his brown eyes were heavy-lidded. His light chestnut brown hair, dip-dyed almost the full length with shades of turquoise, was shoulder-length, fine, and was usually braided, and he has a handlebar mustache. His muscular body looked as if it was sculpted from a ceramic stone. A dark tattoo of the House Kane family crest could be seen on his neck. His fine clothes were mostly earth-colored and loose and flowing. A fusion stage level 1 cultivator, Michael was able to see his cultivation level. This was another shock he received since he came to the Kane Manor. Now Michael really wondered what a powerful man like him had to ask from him. Chapter 304. Contrary to Michael's expectation, the man didn't sit on the throne but took the lavish chair beside the throne. Lord Ashton, the maids who came carrying a tray with Michael's lemon-added hot water, they immediately bowed towards the man when they saw him. Leave. Lord Ashton flicked his wrist as the two glasses flew right into the hands of Gaia and Michael. Even when facing a fusion stage cultivator, Michael didn't show any signs of worry on his face. He remained calm, pretending that he didn't know the man's cultivation level. You're too young to be the #1 alchemist of Elon and Azair, both a blessing and a curse, Lord Ashton. But in planning to extract only the blessing, Michael said slowly, taking a sip from the glass. How are you going to do that? By getting the Kane family's backing? That's the plan, Lord Ashton, Michael slightly smiled. I like you, kid. I've seen many talented youngsters getting themselves killed because they run around making enemies out of powerful people left and right. Even recently I heard someone piss off Aragoth. Good thing that kid had the backing of Guardians. What was his name? Ashton rubbed his handlebar mustache trying to remember the name. No, Gaia reminded Ashton as the light of realization appeared on Ashton's face. Yeah, that's him. You two are friends with him? Ashton's face turned serious. Hell no, we don't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Gaia frantically shook her head. Good for you. If you were anything like that, Noah, you wouldn't be here. Speaking of which, do you know why you're here? Ashton looked at the both of them for a few moments. You got one thing correct. This world is a bad place, especially for a kid with your talents. You're a cub and you want a grown-up lion to protect you. The question is, how far will you go to get the lion's protection? Ashton's lips curved upwards, revealing a fox-like smile. Michael was glad that Ashton finally came to the point. What do you want me to do, Lord Ashton? Kill Alex Fisher. What Ashton just said truly surprised both of them. How do you want him to die? Gaia's eyes and mouth opened wide. She was startled to see how quickly Michael agreed to kill Alex, who is a prodigy of House Fisher. Ashton grinned. Just like that? You're not gonna even ask why? He had seen many youngsters over the years, but there was something different about the youngster before him. Behind the young man's calm, smiling face, Ashton could see the cold killer. There was no hesitation in his eyes. I only need your word that Kane family will back me up after I kill Alex Fisher, Lord Ashton. Kill him during the tournament in front of everyone and Adam will announce you're his best man at his wedding. That will make you practically family. You have my word, and that's good enough for me, Lord Ashton. Michael nodded. Great. My people will make sure you and Alex get to fight. You make sure he dies. Elder Ashton closed his eyes, mumbling something under his breath for a moment as a blue smoke surrounded him. In a blink of an eye, the smoke faded into thin air along with Ashton. After spending some time alone in the throne hall, Michael was just about to stand up to leave the hall when he saw Elder Walter hastening towards them. Did you agree to it? Agree to what? Agree to kill Alex. Elder Walter seemed like he just heard from someone that Elder Ashton asked him to kill Alex Fisher. Michael just made sure that Elder Walter didn't hear anything about killing Alex Fisher from him first. Elder Ashton just informed us about the plan. This is big. Elder Walter was pale in shock. Michael should have been the one to get startled, yet it was Elder Walter who was terrified of Ashton's plan. He wants you to know the importance of this task. Elder Walter handed over a space ring to Michael. He looked into the space ring to see stacks of gold coins, almost 50 million in gold coins. Let's walk and talk. Michael handed over the space ring to Gaia. Just like him, she was also stunned by what's inside. You know about House Oswin? While walking out of the throne hall, Elder Walter asked Michael. You met a couple of them back on Kethen. At the annual auction, Gaia controlled her urge to laugh thinking about the time she roasted the House Oswin elders when they tried to buy the demon's soul stone. For more than 100 years, both House Cain was trying to establish an alliance with House Oswin through marriage. But we were unable to due to various reasons until now. Our house head wants Adam to marry Ariana of House Oswin. If this marriage happened, House Cain and House Oswin will be lifelong allies, will be stronger than all the other houses in Royal Land. I assume things are not going in your way, Gaia asked the elder as he sighed. No. There are rumors that House Fisher is making moves to marry Alex to Ariana. Gaia knew by rumors he meant House Cain's informants in House Fisher. I thought he was gonna marry Selena. He is. That little bastard trying to knock down two birds with one stone. Michael often forgot that marrying more than one girl is normal in this world. Alex would probably be planning to marry Selena for love and Ariana for political reasons. If he were to marry Ariana, everything we planned to get would become House Fisher's. That's where you come in. They walked out of the throne hall. The three of them started at the golden paddy fields under the glistening moonlight. You think you can survive the tournament until you match up with Alex? The tournament is a war zone. Every noble family and powerful person uses it to take a shot at their competitor. Killing young talents is one of the efficient ways to cripple a noble house in the long run. Michael didn't answer Walter quickly. He would rather let his actions speak than explain his abilities to the elder. Is Adam participating in the tournament? Gaia asked while Michael was remaining silent. No. Like I said, killing young talents is one of the efficient ways to cripple a noble house in the long run. If we're planning to get rid of Alex, they might be planning to do the same to Adam. They won't anticipate you to kill Alex. It will be done, Elder Walter. Although Michael agreed to kill Alex, he didn't completely trust them enough to leave the castle without assurance. If they tried to screw them by not backing him up after killing Alex, the entire kingdom would see Elder Ashton's conversation with him. The moment he stepped onto the castle, he let out his spiders to record everything for insurance. It was a risk to let the spiders spy on a fusion stage cultivator, yet Michael took the risk for his safety. If House Cain was to enter into an alliance with House Oswin, not only the two families but also Michael would benefit from their alliance. The stronger the Cain family, the less he needed to worry about someone messing with him. Wait here, Elder Walter walked back into the castle. Fuck 50 million coins, these guys really want Alex dead. I have a feeling this tournament is going to be one hell of a ride. She elbowed him in the hand playfully. Both of them were confident in their ability to win the competition. Gaia would participate in the championship tournaments for body-strengthening stage cultivators with Michael's help to hide her cultivation from the committee, while Michael planned to kick as in the main championship tournament for the core formation cultivators. Lord Lucifer. Suddenly Michael heard Azazel's voice in his head. What is it? Michael asked telepathically. There's figure running around River Town, painting your logo on the walls. Michael let Azazel monitor the spider camera he put all around the kingdom, so if something interesting happens like this, he would know as soon as possible. Keep an eye on him. We're on our way. As you wish, Lord Lucifer. Gaia knew something was up looking at his face. Something's up. Yes, Michael nodded. He looked around to locate Elder Walter. Luckily for them, they saw Elder Walter walking out of the castle. Take this gift. They were handing out space rings as candies. It really showed their wealth. Since Michael was in a hurry, he didn't look into the space ring as he put it into the system storage to check out later. Well, Elder, it's time for us to leave. We have much to prepare. Yes. It'll keep you no longer. Michael took a few steps forward before he heard the Elder call him again. He turned back to see Elder Walter. And Ghost, if you get into the good side of Elder Ashton, you'll get more than the backing of House Cain. Remember that anyone with a brain would not dare to get into the bad side of a fusion stage cultivator. If it wasn't for the system, Michael would have been killed by Layla inside the treacherous ocean. At this moment, Michael had no idea he's going to meet Layla sooner than he wanted to. After parting ways with Elder Walter, They flew for an hour to put a good distance between them and the Kane family manor. Lord Lucifer, Dark Queen, Azazel greeted them with a bow when they appeared in the room before him. Gaia put the sleeping Nightmare and Vidora gently on the bed before covering them with the bedsheet. Shen then came to join back with Michael to watch the mirrors. There he is. Azazel pointed his ethereal fingers at one of the mirrors. In the mirror, they saw a figure draped in full black robes running frantically through the dark alleys in the river town, painting the letter L on the walls. In addition to most of the people in River Town being commoners, this was the middle of the night, so there was not a single person to catch the black-clothed figure. "Who are you?" Michael couldn't help asking the question, but he planned to know the answer in a few moments. Chapter 305. Michael and Gaia both transformed themselves into their other personas. "Take care of them," Gaia ordered Azazel before disappearing from the room along with Michael. The next moment, they appeared in a dark alley behind some houses. Unlike Royal Land, the river town didn't have lampposts to brightly light the streets. Only the rich cities could afford Vedrite stone's lamps. The small towns like river towns used torches instead of lamps. "He should be somewhere near," Gaia said while Michael willed the system to give him the drones. Soon, 5 drones materialized above their heads. He sent the drones in all directions. After deploying the drones, both of them ascended to the sky. Although the roofs and buildings prevented them from clearly seeing the dark alleys, one of the drones picked a figure painting the wall. The figure gawked around to see if anyone's watching him. The figure also looked at the sky vigilantly, yet the darkness covered the drone. Since Michael kept a safe distance between the figure and the drone, the faint motor sound didn't reach the figure's ears. Found him, Michael grabbed Gaia's hands before activating the lightning dash towards the figure's direction. The figure was halfway done painting the letter L when Michael appeared directly above him. The bow of Legolas appeared in Gaia's hands. She knocked an arrow dipped with Michael's paralyzing poison. Noticing the figure's cultivation level, Michael sighed in relief as the figure was at core formation stage level 3. Compared to Michael, the figure was 5 levels below him, 6 levels below Gaia. In addition to the fusion stage bone, the 40% boost given to Gaia by the system increased her cultivation speed by several times. Even without any boost, she had a monstrous cultivation speed. With Michael's boost, she became a heaven-defying talent. With her speed, she would never fall back from Michael's cultivation speed. The arrow soared through the air as a bullet fired from a gun. The figure barely had time to react before the arrow nailed his leg to the ground. "Ah!" The figure squealed in pain. The voice, however, was not of a man's but a woman's. The paralyzing poison immediately spread through the woman's body, making even lifting her pinky impossible. Michael landed before the figure. She was covered in full black clothes from top to bottom. "It's a woman," Gaia's brows arched up behind her mask. "Let's have a chat in the forest nearby. I heard the forest at this time is particularly creepy and dark, just like we like it," Gaia chuckled evilly. Without wasting any more time, Michael paid the required badass points to teleport the 3 of them to the forest surrounding the river town. The possibility of this figure might belong to the Guardians prevented him from taking her back to his secret lair. He was prepared to do any means necessary to extract the reason why she is painting his symbol all around the kingdom. It was extremely risky as the Church and the Guardians were scouring the kingdom as they speak to find Lucifer. The forest surrounding the river town was huge, misty, and verdant. Its canopy was contested by maple, larch, and holly. Still, plenty of moonlight passed through their crowns for a hodgepodge of sprouts to burst from the soft, rich soils below. Coiling branches hung from the occasional tree, and a mishmash of flowers, which grew in abundance, enhanced the otherwise green forest floor. A variety of wild sounds, most of which were birds and vermin, filled the air and formed a chaotic orchestra with the sounds of several woodpeckers in the distance. The moment Michael appeared with the figure and Gaia, he took out a bunch of spiders from his space ring. The spiders crawled through the forest ground towards the figure. Just imagining creepy spiders crawling into her clothes made Gaia grimace. Gaia slowly squatted beside the woman who was lying on the ground motionlessly. Conjuring an orb of fire for light, Michael patiently waited to see the woman's face. The moment Gaia pulled off the cloak covering the figure's face, both Michael and Gaia were stunned. Sadie, the girl behind the mask, was none other than the girl Michael first made love to in this world, Sadie Kaplan of Silver Moon. Thanks to the mask they were wearing, Sadie couldn't see their reactions. If Michael had an expression of shock, Gaia had a mixture of shock and anger. In this whole world, she hated four women the most: her stepmom, Zanali, Sadie, and finally Layla. Her reason for hating the last two was that both of them slept with Michael. Of course, she knew Michael was forced to spirit walk with Layla, yet she hated Layla for putting Michael in danger. Although Michael slept with Sadie way before she confessed her feelings for him, she still hated Sadie. "Let's kill this bitch and be done with it," she unsheathed her dagger, placing it on Sadie's throat. "I want to hear Sadie Kaplan's reasons for summoning us." Michael also squatted beside Sadie. With a flick of his wrist, he took 2 potions from the system storage, healing potion, and the antidote for the paralyzing poison. Without letting Sadie see the potion, he poured the potion into her wound. Then he injected the antidote into her left arm. Gradually Sadie began to move her limbs. Lou! Lucy! Lucifer, Gaia tried to calm her anger. After what happened last time when she lost control, she was working on anger management. Sadie picked herself up with difficulty. The usual playful smile or the glistening of her skin was nowhere to be found. Compared to the last time Michael saw her, she had lost several pounds to the point Michael could see her neck and collarbones. Her eyes lost their shine. They looked dull, like she was crying continuously for several days. Michael really started to wonder what pushed Sadie to this state. "I want to trade my soul," Sadie stammered. Her voice had a mixture of overwhelming sadness, anger, and fear. "Trade your soul? For what?" The concept of devil in this world didn't vary too much from the concept of devil in the earth. For instance, people in both worlds believed the devil would take a soul in return for one's desire. For my sisters, her eyes watered up. She went to her knees, begging Michael with her hands clenched against her chest. "What happened to your sisters?" Michael asked. While tears were flowing down from her eyes, Sadie retrieved a stack of posters from her space ring. She reached out to give the posters to Michael. Gaia took the posters from her hand carefully. She could see a painting of a beautiful girl with her basic details like name, age, cultivation level, address, and last known location. Gaia flipped the poster stack to see another girl with all those details. Each poster had a face and detail of a young girl. Gaia handed over the posters to Michael as he did the same, going through all the posters one by one. It seemed all the girls were missing. There were at least 50 posters in the stack. "They are all missing. It's my fault. All of them, gone, my fault." She fell belly flat to the ground. Her cry of sorrow seemed legitimate. Seeing her cry like this made even Gaia feel pity for her. Since Michael knew the Guardians acted as the major law organization, he asked the obvious question first, although he knew the answer. "If they are all missing, why didn't you go to the Guardians? And why isn't your Silver Moon looking into this?" asked Gaia. The Guardians humph. The sorrow in Sadie's eyes transformed into a fit of volcanic anger. Her eyes became eyeshot in a blink of an eye. "Tell us the full story," Michael asked. Although this was not a situation he should be happy for, his mind quickly formulated a plan to increase his power using this unfortunate situation. If he could somehow find the missing girls, he would be able to get Sadie to his side. In the future, when Sadie became the Silver Moon sect head, she would work for him. Thus, the Silver Moon would become another major power under him. While tears gushed out of the eyes like a flood out of the floodgates, she began to tell them the story of these missing girls. Sadie's story was simple, yet Michael could sense a tragedy in her story. The short version of the story was the Silver Moon used to send girls to noble parties, galas, and rich people gatherings to accompany rich noblemen. Since the girls were extremely beautiful and trained to sway the men, many noblemen desired for these girls to be their partners even for one night. The Silver Moon girls would make these men happy while getting crucial information from them. Knowledge was power, and Silver Moon thrived on gathering knowledge. Noblemen asked, they Silver Moon sent girls. They came back with the information. That was the cycle until recently when something began to change. The girls Sadie sent began to go missing. Since it was not unlikely for Silver Moon girls to run away, at first, Sadie thought they ran away. Soon afterward, more and more girls began to go missing, including little girls who didn't even come of age. Of course, the Silver Moon never sent little girls to the nobleman, yet they began to go missing while going to another city or traveling with their senior sisters. Michael dealt with human trafficking back on Earth, and this looked like one. As for Michael's question about going to Guardians, the answer was she went to Guardians, filed a complaint, and never heard from them again. No matter how many times she dropped by at the guild, they just gave her some half-assed answers. The sect was worse. According to Sadie, these girls just ran away. The sect was too busy with other things to go search for the girls. Out of desperation and guilt, she began to look for the person who said he came to punish the evildoers, Lucifer. Considering she investigated a few murders of Lucifer at the beginning, she knew about his signature. So she painted the symbol all around the kingdom to get his attention. Playing hero was not Michael's intention. If Sadie was not in the line to become the next head of Silver Moon, he would have dropped the posters in the hands of Noah, as he loved to be the Good Samaritan. Noah was competent, so Michael knew he would have eventually found these girls. However, Sadie was in line to be the next head, which made Michael take this task into his own hands. Chapter 306. After Sadie finished her story, Michael and Gaia walked several meters away from her. If she's telling the truth, we can make her our subordinate and control the Silver Moon in the future, Michael told her. What if she's lying? What if this is a plot to catch us? Then kill her and send her body to whoever put her up to this task. He didn't feel like Sadie was lying. Nonetheless, if there's a tiny chance that Sadie was trying to play him, he would kill her in a heartbeat because he would go to any lengths to remain safe. Will you help me? When they returned, Sadie pleaded with them. System, scan her for any threats or tracking spells. Sadie saw Lucifer reaching his hand out towards her as warm bright light enveloped her for a couple of moments. At first, she thought he was taking her soul or something, yet even after the light disappeared, she felt nothing different in her mind or body except for the spiders crawling out from her clothes. The scan completed. You have nothing to worry about. Only after the system confirmed that she had nothing that could be used to track him or Abyssal, Michael made his next move. I can find the girls, but the price isn't your soul. The price is your undying loyalty. Regardless of Gaia's hate towards Sadie, she was mature enough to see the big picture. She also understood what happened between Ghost and Sadie was no one's fault but hers. If she confessed her feelings earlier to him, he wouldn't have slept with Sadie in the first place. As a girl, Gaia saw the hesitation in her eyes. To be honest, she was surprised. Sadie was ready to sell her soul in a heartbeat, yet she hesitated to sell her body. What? You want me to dash? No sexual things involved as you might presume. When she hesitated, Gaia interrupted her. Horrible things happen to innocent people every day, Sadie. You're feeling what you're feeling because it happened to the people you care about. I'm not an angel who comes when you call and hold your hands through your problems. I'm Lucifer. When I come, the problem disappears. But there's a price for calling me. In your case, the price is your loyalty. Become a part of my army. With me standing behind you, you can make sure nothing like this ever happen again. She will swear her loyalty to us, Lucifer. She probably has realized we are a better justice system than the Guardian Guild. In their eyes, Silver Moon girls are just glorified harlots. No one will give a shit about them if they went missing or ended up dead, Gaia said, folding her arms. Are you willing to be my subordinate, Sadie Kaplan, and change how the world works, or remain as what you're now, a scared little girl no one will listen to? I'm willing to do whatever it takes, Lucifer. Lord Lucifer, Gaia reminded Sadie. Does the host wish to accept Maxine Kane as your subordinate? Yes, subordinate. Sadie Kaplan. Cultivation level, core formation stage level 3 race, human status, healthy loyalty towards the host, 15%. The loyalty level was understandable. He hadn't saved her sisters yet, so she had no reason to be loyal to him. At least the system accepted her as his subordinate. Good. Sadie saw the two of them walking towards her. She tried to stand up, but before she could move her body, the space around her distorted, making her close her eyes. When Sadie opened her eyes, she was standing on what seemed to be a throne hall. Great braziers half enclosing each of the 8 onyx columns lighted up every part of the throne hall, covering the hall in dancing shadows and a dark radiance. The relatively modest chandeliers were hanging from the slanted ceiling dance in the flickering light while paintings of Lucifer looked down upon the black floor of this extravagant hall. A dark gray rug ran down from the throne and split to encircle the entire hall while swallowtail banners with embellished needlework drooped from the walls. Between each banner sits a small altar full of candles, many of which have been lit, in turn illuminating the throne. A throne of skull and bones sat at the end of the rug above an elevated stage. Beside the skull and bones throne, there was another identical throne, but it was smaller in size compared to the other. Azazel transformed the throne hall completely with the help of netherils. While Sadie, staring at the throne hall flabbergasted, both Michael and Gaia seated themselves on their thrones. "We should send our minions scouring the kingdom to find those girls," Gaia suggested. "I have a lead." Sadie swallowed her fear to speak to them. Michael saw Sadie holding a parchment in her hand. "Azil." Sadie heard Lucifer call the name looking beside her. The very next moment, the parchment in her hands was pulled by an invisible force. The parchment floated towards Lucifer. When the parchment reached his hand, she saw a figure materialize in front of Lucifer and the Dark Queen. The ethereal figure looked like a butler. She had never seen ethereal figures before, she only heard of them in the books. Michael read the parchment with Gaia. He then took his gaze away from the parchment to look at her. "Minister Magnus," Michael asked, expecting her to explain how she came to the conclusion that Minister Magnus had something to do with the girl's disappearance. Shiho, the first girl who went missing, attended Magnus' party before her disappearance. Hanako went missing after going to Magnus' cousin's annual gala. Most of the girls went missing after attending some kind of party organized by someone related to Magnus. He's the common factor in all of this. Sadie clenched her fist as her nails started to penetrate her soft palm. "Did you make any kind of move on Magnus to see if he really has something to do with the girls?" Hearing Gaia, Sadie shook her head. "He was recently promoted to take care of the military. He's using this as an excuse to avoid meeting people. That scumbag is pretending that he has a threat to his life. I couldn't get into or get him out of his manor. That shouldn't be a problem. No matter how protected he is, he wouldn't sleep with his guards around, since he needed to live stream killing criminals to boost his legend and earn badass points. He guessed he could start with Magnus." Gaia noticed Sadie open and close her mouth like she has something to say. "What is it?" "Spit it out." "Rumor is he's coming to the opening of Ghost's restaurant." Michael's brows arched up behind his mask. He just asked Ricky and Daniel to distribute the opening posters around the kingdom, yet Sadie knew who's coming to the opening. This was why the Silver Moon sect was so successful, as they were basically a spy organization. With the right guidance and tools, Michael could turn the sect into a super spy organization. Coupled with his spiders spread around the kingdom, he could really see his shadow society thriving in the future. There are a couple of roads he could take to reach the river town. The good thing is they are all coming through forests of the Sunrise sect, Gaia said as Michael took an earbud from his system storage. With a flick of his wrist, he sent the earbud flying towards Sadie. "Put this in your ear. Magnus will be delivered to you here. Meanwhile, don't do anything stupid. If whoever took the girls became suspicious, they might kill them all if they hadn't yet." Although Sadie knew the possibility of her sisters being dead, hearing Dark Queen say this stirred the bad feeling in her gut. Her eyes yet again watered up. "Arya." After a few minutes he called the name. Sadie saw a petite brown-haired girl walking through the door at the throne hall's east side. She knelt before Lucifer on one knee. "Coordinate with Azazel and Sadie and search the docks and borders to locate anything suspicious." "Yes, Lord Lucifer," Arya said confidently as Michael looked at Azazel. "Tell Delar to release a few netherils to the royal land. That should keep the church and the guardians busy for some time." "As you wish, Lord Lucifer," Azazel bowed. After giving them their orders, he sent them away except Sadie. "From now on, keep away from the guardians. They are not what they appeared to be." Above those tangerine mountains and sparkling long river, kissed to their heady blush by the sun, were clouds that moved in shoals. And so the sky was equal parts blue and a chorus of grays, streaked with silvers and golds. People of Rivertown were coming out of their homes one by one with sleepy faces. It was still early morning, so the chirping of birds overpowered the sounds of people. Michael and Gaia were standing inside their newly built restaurant, enjoying its beauty inch by inch. Although the restaurant didn't exactly look like the Ristorante La Sponda, it was beautiful in its own way. The river view outside the glass window added extra charm to the place. Lord Fover has really outdone himself. Master Ghost, Gloria's eyes were full of excitement for the opening. She would have never thought her life would completely change the moment she met Ghost when he first arrived at Rivertown and stayed in Lucky Cat Tavern. She was not a mere waitress anymore. She was the manager of the most beautiful restaurant in the whole of Bradford or even in the kingdom. A few months ago, if anyone said she would earn 1,000 gold a month as salary, she would have told them they are crazy, but it became a reality thanks to Ghost. In a couple of months, she bought a new land to build a new home for her family, sent her siblings to the Sunrise sect, and saved gold coins for her marriage. Many of her friends were jealous of her for working for Ghost. If he hadn't, I would have hanged that little bastard by his beard, Gaia said, making Gloria giggle. In 3 days, we have several nobles and powerful people attending the opening. I want everything to be perfect. I won't let you down, Master Ghost. Gloria's voice contained a sliver of fear, but it was overshadowed by her confidence. Good, we really need to come up with the name Ghost. Chapter 307. In the early morning, golden light dribbled over the land like syrup on oatmeal. The leaves shimmered like a mirror-flecked mosaic and the morning dew sparkled on the jade green grass. Michael was standing on the tallest mountain peak of the Sunrise sect. He enjoyed the moment of peace and calm before the big day. How do I look? He heard Gaia's voice coming from behind. Without even turning back, he could sense her delight in her heart through her voice. Yesterday he realized why most men hesitate to go to clothing stores with women. He at least went to 12 clothing stores in Royal Land. She spent hours in each store. It took him less than an hour to buy 4 sets of clothes while she took an entire day to get 2. Before yesterday, Gaia never focused on menial things such as fancy clothes. However, yesterday she went all in. More than she liked shopping, she liked to chill out with Michael without worrying about their plans. For the first time since he came to this world, Michael wore a cloth set that didn't come from the system store. His long-sleeved, leather jacket covered him to just below his waist and was almost completely buttoned up at the left side. The sleeves of his jacket were a loose fit, reaching down to well below his hands. They were decorated with a single thread lining at the sleeve ends. The jacket had a deep, rectangular neckline which revealed part of the gray elegant shirt worn below it and was worn with a wide rope belt, which was held together by a big belt buckle. The rope belt was almost entirely a functional addition. His pants were simple, a comfortable fit, reaching down to his hide boots. The boots were made from a rare hide, but otherwise a common design. Except for the shirt, everything was black. His sculpted muscles made him extra handsome in the clothes. "Oh," she called again to get his attention. What happened yesterday kept bugging him. After she called him again, he finally turned back to be startled by her beauty. Her fancy dress flowed from top to bottom and had a draped neckline, which lightly revealed the modest dress worn below it. The exquisite, tightly tied fabric of her dress covers her stomach where the continuous flow was broken up by a light leather belt worn quite high around her waist. Below the leather belt, the dress opened up to the left, revealing the dress below. The front of the top dress was shorter at the front and curved outwards. The back continued to flow a short length behind her, ending in a narrow rectangle. Her sleeves were longer than her arms and a comfortable fit. Their flow was broken up above the elbow where they change color and where they're divided by dark, elegant bands. These were the same fabric and color used to outline the bottom and neckline of the dress. Just like Michael, she too chose to wear black. Although the dress was beautiful, it was the girl who was wearing the dress that elevated the beautiful dress to artistic. His occupied mind was completely blanked by her angelic beauty. He could see her real face as she didn't wear the mask to put on Elia's face. Looking at her, he couldn't help wondering if the gods personally sculpted this beauty before sending her to this world. There were no fitting adjectives to describe her beauty in his mind. She squinted at him with one eye playfully. "It's natural to be speechless," she proudly said as Michael gently smiled, forgetting what was on his mind for a moment. "You look beautiful." Michael walked towards her before pulling her closer to him by her waist. "Scars are cool, human," she gently headbutt him. "We'll talk about that later. Now let's go open our restaurant." Both of them slowly ascended to the sky. The entire river town was in a festive mood. The streets were filled with people in colorful dresses, carrying name boards saying Ghost, Elia, and Sunrise Sect. The morning light didn't stop them from painting the sky with colorful fireworks. Children sitting on the shoulders of their father wore black dresses to look like Ghost. When Michael arrived at Rivertown, he saw lines of noble carriages coming towards the restaurant. Boom, boom, boom. The fireworks exploded in the sky above the restaurant. In addition to carriages, numerous Pegasus were flying from all directions towards the restaurant. The restaurant building was currently covered in a giant red cloth. "Look over there. Aye aye aye. Ghost. Elia. Rivertown. Ghost ghost ghost." The moment they descended to the point the people noticed, the cheers erupted like a bubbling volcano. The people cheered as loud as they could. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,000 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 2,000 badass points. The notification sounded just as loud as these people, almost giving him a headache. In a couple of minutes, he earned more than 20,000 badass points. The adventurers who were hired to keep the crowd in control were having trouble keeping the people in line. It has been 3 months since the people of the river town saw him. In 3 months' time, the river town's economy and status were elevated significantly. The scene reminded Michael of all the red carpet events. In fact, his last assassination back on Earth had celebrities and fans who behaved just like the river town's people. On Earth, he remained in the shadows. In this world, he was standing right in the spotlight. The restaurant was built on elevated land so the diners could have a better view of the river. The elevated land was designed in the shape of a heptagon with a staircase on 2 opposite sides. Right at the moment, the Rivertown people were on one side while the nobles were using the other to enter the restaurant. Ghost ghost ghost. Among the crowd, a boy was screaming Michael's name. The little kid wore the miniature version of a Neo costume to cosplay as him. He was standing relatively close to the front line before climbing the stairs. Michael reached to grab the kid. His father was stunned but didn't stop Michael from taking the kid. "How are you, little buddy?" The kid was speechless as Michael retrieved a quill from his space ring. "I want to be like you when I grow up," the kid said. "Work hard, 'cause less trouble for your parents and you will be just like me," Michael said, signing his name on the kind's shirt in white considering the kid's clothes were black. After handing over the kid back to his father, Michael and Gaia continued to talk to some of the people before climbing the stairs to the restaurant. Wind blast. Michael sent a gentle gush of wind blast to calm the people. The sudden wind produced a howling sound, instantly silencing the people. "People of Rivertown," Michael began to speak. His voice was amplitude by arch energy to sound loud so the entire Rivertown could hear him. "It's been almost a year since I came to Rivertown. Although it's a short amount of time, I have nothing but great memories here. That was why I decided to open my first business in Rivertown. This is a starting point of Rivertown's glory as 20% of my restaurant's earnings will be used to develop Rivertown." The cheers erupted the moment they heard Michael donating 20% of the earnings to their town. "The Sunrise Sect will build new roads, bring more job opportunities through new business, cultivating the lands around the town so all the ingredients needed to run the restaurant will be cultivated and bought from Rivertown." The cheers kept erupting nonstop. The people became extremely excited and happy. Some of them even shed tears in overwhelming joy. "I can list what we are planning for the Rivertown all day. But actions speak louder than words, so let the action begin. People welcome to the majestic Hades," as he said. Michael turned back, pointing his finger at the clothes. A bolt of lightning shot from his fingertip to light red clothes in the fire. He specially bought this cloth from the system store. The bright red flames burned as it looked like the building had a crown made of flames. The flames only lasted for a few moments before fading into nothingness, showing the name board and the restaurant building. The name The Majestic Hades was etched on the building's top with golden letters. Finally, after 6 months of building and preparing for the launch, they opened up the restaurant. Also, my dear people of the river town, you don't need to treat me like a celebrity. I don't want any fan clubs or this kind of parade for me every time I visit the town. Focus on your life, work hard, take care of the people around you. That will make me proud. Now carry on with your lives. As much as Michael loved to be the badass in the spotlight, he didn't want to be swarmed with crazy fans everywhere he goes. That would affect his productivity. Remaining in shadows would not work in his favor in this world because it wouldn't earn him as many badass points as he actually needs. However, becoming too famous at this point in his life wasn't his plan either. Expanding his power too quickly would draw out the attention of unnecessary foes. He had to make every single move with utmost caution to remain safe until he reached the point that no one could harm him. Special shout out to the wonderful people in my Discord server for helping me in naming the restaurant. Chapter 308. You're gonna get bored of these things sooner or later, Ghost, Elder Martin said, enjoying his baked silk fish. A 5-star chef could improve the taste of any food or drink, even alcohol, by 100%. In addition, food and drink made by them improved cultivation speed by 30% for the next week. Some dishes were even able to improve physical strength, defense, and concentration/focus by 5% for the next 24 hours. Of course, these were only some of the benefits in the long list. Effects or benefits varied from dish to dish. I assure you, Elder Martin, I won't get bored. What's the point of living for 100 years if we don't enjoy everything this world has to offer? I agree with Master Ghost, Lord Malin, who was sitting on the other side of Michael's table, said. Currently, several men and women were occupying Michael's long glass table. There was Elder Martin from the Kane family, Lord Malin of Bradley, the elders of Sunrise Sect except for Elder Sandra, who apparently hates gatherings, Reginald, Claire, Gaia, Olivia, and lastly, Ella, the new branch leader of Sunrise Sect in Broad River, previously known as Broad River Sect in Kingdom Kethan. She was eternally grateful for healing her burned skin and making her good and beautiful again. I'd choose this over dealing with inner family bitching. Lord Malin rolled his eyes, thinking about everything he had to deal with since becoming the family head. Welcome to the club, Lord Malin, Ella chuckled. You know we're here to help any time you want, Ella, Claire said, taking a sip from her wine glass. Miss Elia, hey, erase your seared moon boar. As they were speaking, a young waitress came carrying a smoking delicious dish. The entire restaurant was full and there were countless nobles waiting in line to get into the restaurant. The restaurant had 50 tables in different sizes. Almost 100 people could comfortably dine here. Regardless of the crowd, the waiters and waitresses trained by Gloria were doing a great job. All the 20 waiters and waitresses moved in perfect rhythm to keep the tables filled and diners happy. Gloria was training them for 3 months. Michael was thinking about raising Gloria's wage because of her talent. He never expected this kind of talent in managing a restaurant and training people from a girl who worked as a waitress in a small tavern. Cooking hundreds of dishes back to back didn't slow down Raylene even for a bit. With the tools, machines, and the help of a few sous chefs, Raylene kept pumping out delicious food as fast as the nobles finishing their meals, which was fast, extremely fast. How's preparing for the tournament going, Ghost? Has anyone else besides you two competing from your sect? Sect leader Claire, even Ghost didn't know the answer to that question. He looked at Claire as did everyone else. They are growing stronger fast, but they are not ready yet. So, these two have to win the tournaments in their respective championship. Claire raised her cup towards Michael and Gaia. No biggie, Gaia shrugged. Can we bet on you two winning? Lord Malin asked with a wide grin on his face. I can't stop you if you want. I know I'm betting on ourselves. Although he said like he was joking, they could sense the confidence in his voice. In their eyes, Gaia didn't even look like she gives a damn about the tournament. Where's Nightmare, by the way? Lord Malin asked, looking around the restaurant. He thought the dragon would follow Ghost anywhere he goes. Master Ghost, suddenly Ricky came running to Michael. Those at the table saw Ricky whisper something into Ghost's ears. "What is it?" Claire asked. "Apparently a newswoman from something called Royal Times is asking to meet me." Only Elder Martin remained calm, continuing to enjoy the food. The others, however, raised their brows, realizing Ghost has no idea what a Royal Time is. Gaia didn't even bother to look at Michael, as she knew he had no clue because she never told him anything about Royal Times or the other newspapers in the continent. "You seriously don't know anything about Royal Times?" Lord Malin asked as Michael shook his head. "They are one of the leading newspapers in the continent. If you want to get famous overnight, they can get it done," Lord Malin said with a serious face. "It's better you stay on their good side. There's a saying among big families, the newspapers are spells that do more damage than any spells." After seeing Elder Malin offering him a piece of advice, Michael nodded, deciding to meet this newspaper woman. "I think you made it into the Elon Prodigy rankings." Everyone agreed with Ella with a nod. Michael didn't need any explanations on the rankings because it was pretty obvious. When he was an assassin, the Dark World always used to bribe journalists to cover their tracks. The Dark World manipulated everything in the newspaper related to them. That was how they remained hidden for centuries. Therefore, Michael had little to no trust in these so-called newspapers to print the truth or the rankings precisely. He guessed there are noble families that have already paid the newspaper to get the prodigies of their family a higher ranking. "All right, that's my cue." Gaia stood up from the table with her plate. "Where are you going?" Michael asked. "Trust me, it's better I stay away from these bitches. I have a bad tendency to break their noses." "See ya, ladies and gentlemen," she waved at the guests before running back into the kitchen. "Shall we?" Claire gestured at Ella to leave the table, but Michael stopped them. "No need for you guys to leave. She's gonna interview me, not you. Let me take care of this." Michael wanted the newspaper woman to see him with the people at this table, especially Elder Martin from Kane family. If she were to write he has a good relationship with the Kane family, it would pave the way for new opportunities with other noble families as well as keep the rogue and hostile cultivators away from him. "Ricky, bring her to me." Michael wiped off the corners of his mouth with the white cloth. "Winnie," Michael called out to the waiter who served his table. The guy was still flabbergasted at the fact Michael remembered his name from the start he met him. The other prodigies wouldn't even acknowledge the existence of waiters like Winnie, yet Michael treated each and every worker with the respect they deserve. "Does Master Ghost need anything else?" "Glass of grape juice is enough for me. What about you ladies and gentlemen? Bring that menu of yours, kid." Elder Martin didn't hold back, filling his belly. Since everything was so delicious, everyone started to order food yet again while Michael was waiting for the newswoman. A few minutes after Ricky left the table, he brought a woman wearing a large hat to Michael. Standing 5'2" tall, this dark-skinned woman had a charismatic feel about her. She had a triangular face, a straight nose, small lips, and her dark brown eyes were heavy-lidded. Her black hair, dyed completely peach, was short, shiny. She wore an obvious foundation, glittery lipstick, natural-colored blush, complimentary eyeliner, and artistic eyeshadow. "Take a seat, Miss Nadia Hall from the Royal Times." Michael stood up, shaking her hand, then sat back. When she noticed the faces at the table, she was slightly surprised, especially when she met Elder Martin devouring the chicken. "Winnie, oh no, Master Ghost. I'm filled," she said with a smile that was neither too friendly nor too cold. "As you wish." Michael did not force her as he waved off Winnie, letting him take care of the other tables. "Thank you for agreeing to me on such short notice, Master Ghost. Do you know why I'm here?" She spoke in a thick British accent. The fact this world has accents similar to those on Earth surprised Michael. "No, sorry. I don't quite follow the newspapers, so no. Let me enlighten you then. As you may or may not know, the Royal Times have been watching the young talents very closely. We wanted to do a piece of the new rising start of Elon. What better time than now, a week before the big tournament? I know you have guests to take care of, so shall we start the interview, Master Ghost?" She placed a parchment and a quill on the table. She then closed her eyes, casting a spell on the parchment and the quill. The quill started to write itself. "Let's start with your name, Ghost. Is there a reason behind your rather uncommon name?" Michael relaxedly took a short sip from the grape juice. People called me Ghost for some reason when I was little. It's stuck with me ever since. People? What about your parents, Master Ghost? Only after this question, Elder Martin raised his head to look at Michael. Everyone was interested in knowing the answer. I don't have any. I'm an orphan. Many people who heard Michael's answer were surprised. They never imagined an orphan reaching the stage where Ghost is. Hiding her surprise, Nadia moved on to her next question. It's difficult to make a name for oneself in the world of cultivation with a family backing you. So how did you reach this point without any family support? Hard work, he simply said. On Earth or on this world, Michael worked his ass off. He might have a system, but he needed to work mentally and physically to get to this point. Without hard work, no one could use the system to its full potential. Hard work? That's it? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, Miss Hall. I had to pay in blood and sweat to get everything in my life. Chapter 309. The nobles were having double fun. On one side, they were enjoying the delicious meal of their life. On the other hand, they were watching the interview live. How do you explain your talent for alchemy? Do you think you were born with it? I was fortunate to have a mentor. We used to go to all kinds of dungeons and ruins searching for ancient scripts and long-lost methods. The good old days. Nadia's eyes sparkled when she heard about Michael's mentor. She immediately asked a follow-up question. Can you please tell us about your mentor? All our readers would be interested in the person who mentored the youngest 5-star alchemist in the continent. I can't talk much about him as he values privacy more than anything. But I can tell you this, he's scary and much more talented than any alchemist I know. Michael's answer was vague, yet it had the right amount of mystery to let the others keep guessing. It would also stop people from wondering how he became a 5-star alchemist to some extent. Speaking of privacy, we don't know anything about your life before you came to the river town? Where did you grow up actually? She asked another question that many were wondering. Even Claire looked interested in knowing the answer to this question. Where didn't I grow up would be the fitting question. Michael smiled, taking a sip of grape juice. If you want to know the answer to the question where was I before coming to Rivertown, the answer is R. Many raised their brows in surprise. They never expected him to come from the most powerful continent in the world. The other 3 continents couldn't even be compared to R as they were the richest, largest powerful continents. The main reason for R's prosperity was that R had several races living together. Although there were struggles between the races such as the enmity between dwarves and elves, they didn't go to war with each other to prove who's the superior ones. Instead, they developed their own kingdoms and empires to be the number one. This altogether lifted the status of the entire continent. Wow. You're far away from home. Home? Home is where I am. Rivertown and the sect is my home now. Claire gently smiled as Nadia's quill wrote every single word that came from his mouth onto the parchment. What made you come to the river town, Master Ghost? The weather, that was my reason, chuckled Michael. As an experienced newswoman, she knew when someone's brushing off the question. Usually, she would focus on that particular question until she got something juicy, but she was experienced enough to know that Ghost is not going to explain his reason for coming to the river town. Master Ghost, we know you like to keep it yourself and focus on. Nadia paused for a moment searching for the right word. Accumulating power and money while trying to avoid making enemies, she slowly moved on to the serious topics of her interview. She obviously did her research on Michael. But what made a guy like you massacre an entire sect overnight, including the sect leader? You actually tied the sect leader on a pole and burned him alive. Roasted him alive like a turkey, that's what the people were saying. Claire noticed his smile slightly changing into a cold one. Miss Nadia, you obviously did your research. So please tell me this, do you know what the Blood and Bone sect did? Michael asked Nadia. The people only knew Ghost massacred the Blood and Bone sect overnight, but most of them didn't know why he did that in the first place. I think it's because they killed the people in Rosewood Village. Michael put down the glass in his hand, his smile completely disappeared from his face. You said I massacred the sect and the sect killed the people in Rosewood Village. He emphasized the words massacred and killed. What the sect did was a massacre. What I did was justice. The least we cultivators could do to the commoners is let them be. The waiter and waitresses who heard Michael had their respect towards him lifted to another level. Let's talk about Heaven's Gate competition, Master Ghost. You're the first person to reach the 100th step. How did you do it? It wasn't very difficult. He could feel all the eyes on him, looking at him with both shock and surprise. Speaking of Heaven's Gate, there are rumors you and Miss Selena have some bad blood between you two. What's your comment on that? No comment. I don't respond to rumors. Nadia seemed disappointed, yet it didn't stop her from coming up with a follow-up question. We have on good authority that she personally came to interrogate you with the truth extractor pill that was concocted by Pill King Gabriel himself. I think what she did was out of grief. I was in the Nether Realm when her cousin was killed, and everyone knows there's no way of coming out of the Nether Realm until the portal opens. It was a desperate attempt to catch the killer. I'm not blaming her for doing that. He sounded truthful. However, Michael was planning to settle the score between them at the tournament once and for all. On the topic of tournaments, who do you think has the most chance of winning them? My girlfriend Elia will win the championship for the body strengthening stage, and I will win the other, Michael said casually. For some nobles, he sounded arrogant. For some others, he sounded confident. As far as Michael was concerned, if he couldn't even win the tournament with the system's help, there was no way in hell he could conquer this world. At the same time, he didn't think it would be easy to win, as he was accumulating badass points to buy new spells and upgrade the existing ones. Wow, you sound pretty confident, Nadia giggled. What he said was a good piece that would stir the heat between the youngsters who were competing. The more hype her newspaper created for the tournament, the more the tournament committee would pay them. If your parents were to read this, what would you say to them? He was slightly stunned by her question. He never expected her to come back to the topic of his parents. Is it really necessary to ask him about these things? Claire intervened. She didn't like Nadia poking into the bad memories. It's okay, sect leader Claire, Michael said before Nadia could answer Claire. First of all, I don't have any parents. The moment they chose to throw me away like a piece of trash they never wanted, they ceased to exist in my world. I used to watch children play with their parents. You know how their mothers loved them, the fathers protected them. I envied them when I was little. Although Michael and Abraz were two different persons, the pain of being an orphan was the same for both of them. He knew he was Abraz, so he wanted Abraz's parents to know what he's feeling. When I was 7, I still remember that day vividly. I stole a piece of bread as I didn't eat anything for 3 days. The baker, who was a heartless son of a bitch, caught me and gave me this. Michael slightly pulled his shirt away to reveal the burn mark near his collarbone. He punished me for stealing by burning me with a flaming charcoal piece. I cried until I had no tears left in me. There was no one there for me to. Michael felt a lump in his throat while Claire's eyes already started to well up. There was no one there for me to ease my pain, no matter how loud I cried, or how long I cried. I fainted crying. When I woke up, I was still there, on the side of a pavement, drenching in rain. I never asked for any of this. If they never wanted me, they shouldn't have brought me into this world. His voice turned cold. A glint of murderous intent emerged in his eyes. If they were to read this, I have only 4 words for them. Stay away from me. That's it. The interview's over. Gaia came to Michael's table to break the interview. Her eyes were bloodshot red due to anger and sadness. Please excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. Michael left the dining hall quietly. Thankfully, Gaia didn't cause a scene. Nadia was lucky that she didn't get her nose broken by Gaia. 2 days after Michael's interview with Nadia, Diana was sitting on a bench in her garden. The newspaper she was holding was drenched in her tears. No one could be seen in the garden except Diana. She sent all the guards and servants away. Because she had to leave Kefin to get something important, she couldn't go to the river town for the restaurant opening. So when she heard he gave an interview, she paid thousands of gold coins to get the first printed edition, as she couldn't wait to read her son's interview. She wasn't crying her eyes out because he told his parents to stay away. She cried, thinking about the pain he went through when he was little. She could feel his hate towards her and Ethan through his words. She never wanted any of this to happen to him. Her heart bled reading his story. If she could, she would want to go to him, tell him everything, and beg for his forgiveness. Chapter 3:10. The grayish clouds filled the sky, preventing the sunlight from coming through like border guards. The foliage slowly danced with the howling wind. The gloomy sky warned the ground about the upcoming heavy rain through drizzles. While the drizzles were slowly transforming into a heavy downpour, Ethan came to the garden where he saw his beloved wife sitting on the bench holding the newspaper. He was holding the same newspaper as his wife. In her sorrow, Diana didn't even notice Ethan sitting beside her. First edition, eh? Ethan tried to open with a joke. It's not your fault, Diana. Ethan wrapped his arm around Diana's shoulder. I lost him because I was weak. Wasn't that my fault? You weren't weak, the Sky Hall was too powerful. You know that, everybody knows that. You had no choice. If anyone to be blamed, it's Sky Hall. Our son stole bread because he was hungry. She completely broke into tears after speaking those words. Diana couldn't even imagine what he went through. The overwhelming sadness made her heart bleed. As a man, Ethan wouldn't cry like Diana, yet even his eyes teared up when he read that. We'll get through this, Diana, like always, together. I promise you, we will reunite with our son. He wiped off the tears from Diana's face while lifting her face to look her in the eyes. You can now cultivate without Sky Hall knowing. No matter how long it'll take, we must reach the immortal stage. Then we'll have a lifetime making up to our son. Ethan had full confidence in Diana reaching the immortal stage because she was the #1 prodigy of the entire world. It only took her a month of cultivation to go from the core formation stage to the core strengthening stage. Her monstrous cultivation speed was what drew the attention of Sky Hall in the first place. She was meant to be the Holy Maiden. Even to this day, the name Harriet Hunt would shake the R continent. Before he heard everything that happened with Sky Hall, he thought only he and Diana's 2 sisters knew that Harriet Hunt is Diana. Ethan had to fake the 3 sisters' death to leave our continent. If anyone knew she's still alive, it would be only a matter of days before the royal family as well as the Hunt family storm into Elon to take her away. As far as Diana was concerned, her talent was more of a curse than a blessing. She lost too much because of her talent. To the outside world, Diana was happy for her children's talent, except she was more worried about them than feeling happy for them. She didn't want her children to suffer the same fate she does because of their talent. Diana never regretted leaving everything behind in R. If she hadn't left her family, her 2 sisters would have been married off to some wealthy old men while she would have ended up as the Holy Maiden. Diana's parents viewed the 3 of them as trophies instead of as their daughters. They wanted to use them to increase the Hunt family's influence and power. Because of her decision to leave R with her sisters, they were blessed with peace and a happy family. She never imagined the price for leaving her life on R behind would be her son. One day he will understand everything. Dien. The heavy downpour came with a thunderclap. Flashes of lightning flashed across their eyes. With the climate, Diana's mood also changed. Sky Hall. The veins in her eyes began to pop up, making her eyes redder and redder. You know, Ethan, I was trying to run away from being Harriet Hunt. She stood up from the bench. I can't run away from who I am. For a second when the lightning flashed, Ethan could swear he saw Harriet Hunt, the raven beauty of R. In his mind, her golden hair transformed into raven black while 2 swords appeared in her hands. Raven black hair, 2 swords, black dress from top to bottom. That was the Harriet the entire R continent was afraid of. If Ethan had seen Ghost, he would have been startled to see the similarities between Harriet and Ghost. I'm gonna make every single one of them who hurt my son pay. I am Hunt, Harriet Hunt, and I have a score to settle. Meanwhile, back on the Abyssal, Michael was standing in front of a giant mirror. He was in his gray sweatpants, staring at his naked upper body in the mirror. Various degrees of burn wounds, bullet wounds, and scars riddled his body. 3 days ago when he woke up, the scars he had when he was on Earth as well as new scars magically appeared on his body. The system asked him to upgrade it if he wanted to know how and why the scars appeared. Those scars brought some bad memories. Moreover, Michael wondered why these scars suddenly appeared. He didn't know the Ghost soul piece and Abra's soul piece are slowly merging together into one as they were when he was born in this world. With the soul pieces merging, they brought the scars back. This change was visible to his eyes. What wasn't visible is that his mind and heart becoming one entity instead of two, which were Ghost and Abras. Until now, he thought he and Abras were two different people. The truth was, however, they were the same. Only because of Skyhall, his soul was split into two. One piece ended up on Earth and grew up to be Ghost while the other grew up to be Abras. Fate had brought the two pieces together once again. As he was staring at his body with mixed emotions, Gaia was whistling her favorite music while counting the gold coins they got from the restaurant. Nightmare was helping her by counting the stacks with her. Vidora just stood on Gaia's shoulder, supervising the two of them. Hey, do you want to know the total collection or keep staring at your own body? Michael put on his t-shirt before jumping into the bed with Gaia. Hit me with it. Good, you're back, she pinched his cheek playfully. Well, we earned a whopping amount of 1.2 million in 3 days. Because of your fucking generosity, we need to give 20% of the earning to the sect so they could develop the river town. That would leave us with 960,000 gold coins. What about the cost of buying the ingredients and paying the wages? He wiggled himself from the pillow to Gaia's lap. She didn't mind, as she would sometimes rest on his lap and he would do the same. I'm coming to that. Approximately we're spending 60,000 on both of them per month, so it's no biggie, no biggie? You know how many people we could feed or help with 60,000 gold coins? Nightmare rolled his eyes. Quit whining, you big lizard. We're swimming in millions of gold. Compared to that, 60,000 is like a drop, Iag retorted. You're a bad influence on the little girl. Michael twisted Gaia's ear looking at Iag. Who are you calling a little girl? I'll fuck you up. Iag bore her teeth after being called a little girl by Michael. She's a bad apple, I know that. Gaia chuckled instead of defending Iag to make the little hydra even more furious. He bad apple. Sarba, the silverhead, chuckled with the rest of them as Iag began to hit him in the head. Jokes aside, we need to cut the cost of buying the ingredients. When are they going to start cultivating the fertile lands around the river town? If we could produce what we need in the river town, it'll save us the gold coins of buying them from the other towns and kingdoms while improving the economy of the river town, Michael asked. He let Gaia and Claire handle these kinds of things as they had more knowledge and experience compared to him. Old Man Reiner will take care of cultivating the lands so we could start producing veggies and stuff. We can improve the fishery by getting the fishermen new boats, building new docks. That still leaves us with exotic meat and seafood. There's no way we can get them in the river town. Reginald said he will introduce some of the contacts we could use to get these things for a cheaper price. I'm thinking about letting Raylene and Gloria handle the negotiation. After all, Gloria is the manager and Raylene should come out of her shell. I agree with that. Raylene is still too timid. Nightmare agreed with Gaia's plan. You're right, let them handle it. It's settled then. Gaia laid back on the bed with Michael. She rested her head on his hand as Nightmare and Vidora curled between them. I was talking to Raylene the other day. She said there are a lot of things to be done before the marriage. Oh, I'm listening. Michael winked at her. Kids hear you, perverted bastard. She quickly tried to cover Nightmare and Vidora's ears, but she neither had enough hands nor time to cover their ears before they heard and realized the hidden meaning behind Michael's words. Lord Lucifer. Their playtime was interrupted suddenly by Arya. They heard her voice in their ears through the earbud. Go ahead, Arya. Did you find anything? Lord Lucifer, Dark Queen, I'm at the Harbor Master's office. The container I told you about belongs to the Guardian Guild. They are going to load the container into a ship. Do you think the girls are inside? Gaia asked. I'm not sure, but something's precious inside as the container is guarded by men in full plate armor. By the looks of them, they must be very powerful. Plus, they are doing constant routine checks, timed guard changes. Do you know where the container is going? No, Dark Queen, no mention about where it is going in the manifest. Don't engage them, we are coming. Michael jumped off from the bed with Gaia. In a blink of an eye, they both transformed into Lucifer and Dark Queen. Let's go hunt. Check out the Discord if you want to see Diana/Harriet hunt. Chapter 311. At the edge of the cloud, there was a brilliant white patch, like a turning page catching the sun. The rest was dove gray with a subtle hint of purple, just enough to announce the coming sunset. The coastline welcomed sea and sky, the bluest of brothers, together with a covenant of everlasting beauty. Along with nature's evening sky and coastline, the man-made harbor formed a scene that looked like a painting. The ships of all sizes floated on the water, taking the rest they deserved before starting their journey. This was not a military harbor, so there weren't any warships like a brigade or man of war. The biggest ship that could be seen on the harbor was a merchant ship with 4 cannons on the top deck. The crane with a huge wheel attached to it kept producing creaking noises. One could see almost half of the royal land from the crane's top. When the last of the sunlight faded away from the place, 2 figures appeared on top of the crane. Their black capes fluttered in the wind. The light coming from the half-moon vaguely showed their bodies. "That's the ship," Gaia pointed at a lone ship silently floating on the water far from the rest of the ships. It was a merchant ship but didn't have any cannons. From the outside look, the ship looked no different than a typical merchant ship used to transport goods from one port to another, except Michael could see 10 core formation level 8 warriors on board disguised as crew members. "Where are the armored guys Arya was talking about?" Gaia asked. "Maybe in the below decks. We need to know their exact locations before doing anything human. They are not some weaklings we could waltz in and kill. It's time for a new skill," Michael thought as he entered the system with a specific skill in his mind. "System, I need you to take whatever points you need and get me the X-ray vision. Remember, I need to see what's inside the ship and container, so don't get me a level 1 skill and ask me to upgrade until I have no points left. Geez, I get it. I know the right thing to give you, and I'll integrate it with Eyes of Darkness for 2,000 badass points. So the total of buying X-ray vision, upgrading it to max level, and integrating it with Eyes of Darkness would cost you 8,000 badass points. Get it done." He felt the familiar acute pain in his mind for a few moments. The moment the pain disappeared, he could feel another skill. Activating it was just as easy as breathing to him. When he willed his mind to activate the X-ray vision, the view in front of him turned dark blue. Soon, he started to see yellow and red shapes moving around. This was not just an X-ray vision, this was a thermal vision. He willed his mind again to change his vision as his vision changed into another, the night vision. He had a smile behind his mask as he changed his vision to X-ray vision. He could now see in 3 types of visions. In addition to 3 types of vision, he could zoom in. How cool was that? "They are in the back, below decks. The girls are there too." "Wait a minute. How do you know?" "Oh, I forgot to mention one thing, host." When he turned to look at Gaia, he couldn't help grinning thinking about something. However, the system read his mind and decided to crash his mental party. "You cannot see people naked using your visions." The system let out a burst of evil laughter. It kinda sounded like a cartoon supervillain. "You really are a god in the making. Can't you give some of your powers to me?" She trusted Michael enough to not poke into his secret that he obviously couldn't share with her. Although she was proud and happy for him, she also felt a bit jealous. "I'm sharing. How do you think your cultivation speed is skyrocketing? Stop joking around. I'm awesome. That's the reason for my cultivation speed," she proudly exclaimed. Michael wrapped his hand around Gaia with utmost care and love. From the moment he met her to this moment, everything seemed like a dream to him. He cherished every moment he spent with her. "Let's stay like this for a little longer." She rested her head on Michael's shoulder. They were just about to engage in a battle, yet the wind, the scenery, the quietness brought them closer. "You know, if this conquering the world doesn't work, we could just leave this world and run off to some other worlds together. You said it yourself, I'm a god in the making. When was the last time you heard a god fail?" Ding, ding, ding. While they were embracing each other, a bell-ringing sound came from the harbor. Soon afterward, the ship with the core formation warriors slowly started to move. They didn't jump down from the crane to reach the ship. They just waited for the ship to sail far away from the harbor so no one would be able to call for reinforcement from the land. Until now, Michael never directly messed with the Guardians. What the fuck are these Guardians doing with Silvermoon girls? I know they are a shady bunch unlike many humans think, but this is too much. We can't say for sure the entire guild has a hand on the kidnappings. Maybe a few corrupted Guardians are the ones responsible for this. The Guardians were Michael's main foe, yet he couldn't believe the entire guild would involve in human trafficking. A few corrupted guardians using their guild's power to do this shady thing seemed more likely. Even if we hand the scumbags responsible for this on a silver platter, the guardians wouldn't do shit to them. They'll just tell us they would take care of the matter in-house. Best case, the scumbags will be stripped of their guardian title. At worst, they will get a slap on the wrist. Typical, Michael snickered inside. The Guardian Guild wasn't too different from a government in some countries where politicians rarely got punished for their crimes. If the Guardians hadn't branded him as their foe who must be killed by any means necessary, Michael would have left them alone. Since that wasn't the case, he needed to root out the guild before they found out about his true identity and kill him. Come on, we should follow them at a safe distance. Michael slowly started to ascend to the sky with Gaia. He didn't cast the lightning dash to speed up his pace. They just followed the ship, keeping a safe distance from the ship. Due to their black armors, it was impossible to see them in the night without casting any spells. Wait. While Michael was flying above the ship, he noticed several defensive arrays on the upper deck thanks to the Eyes of Darkness. When he was in the treacherous ocean, he had to pop in a bunch of perception pills and depend on the system to break the illusion formations. But now, he could easily find the source points to break the formations. Although he found the source points, destroying from where he was would reveal his location as well as alert the guards. That's where Gaia came in. He quickly bought a laser pointer from the system for 100 badass points. What? Can you shoot that exact point from here? Can I? Humph, she sneered as the bow of Legolas painted in black materialized in her hand. She knocked an arrow, feeling the wind's direction before releasing it. The arrow soared through the arrow like a bullet. The moment the arrow hit the place pointed by the laser, Michael saw the defensive formation fade away. The guards were oblivious to the formation's disappearance. That's how you break a formation, find the source point, destroy it. Michael explained the reason why he asked to shoot that place. How many formations are remaining? She nodded before asking. One on the rudder stage, one on the crow's nest. Use the ice arrows. The first formation was located on the ship's far back, so firing an arrow did not alert the guards. However, there was a guard steering the rudder and another one would soon come to take the crow's nest so he or she could watch over the skies and the sea around. If they found the arrows, they would alert the guards, which might make killing them difficult. Stealth seemed to be the best option to kill the warriors, especially the 2 core strengthening stage cultivators. Who knows what kind of spells they possess? Therefore, Michael wanted to kill them as discreetly as possible. Because of his alchemy trait, he created a new type of liquid. Mixing the liquid with water made the ice arrows immune to the fraction produced when flying through the air. Hence, the ice arrows won't dissolve in the air before hitting the target. However, after hitting the target, the liquid-mixed water's molecular structure would be changed due to the collision force, resulting in immediate evaporation. The only downside of using the ice arrows as they weren't strong enough to penetrate a human body. That downside didn't matter when it came to destroying source points. Gaia quickly fired an arrow to the formation source point on the crow's nest before flying to the rudder stage where they saw a core formation warrior steering the rudder while whistling carefree. Currently, there were 5 core formation guards roaming on the upper deck on top of the guard at the rudder. One of them reached the crow's nest with a quick, swift jump. Boom, boom. The sound of thunderclaps could be heard coming from a distance. In addition to streaks of lightning, he saw a tornado forming in the distance. We should use that storm as a distraction to kill them all, she said. What's on Michael's mind? With a nod, Michael moved away from the ship instead of taking a risk of firing the ice arrow to the formation source point on the rudder stage. Chapter 3:12. This is why I hate the oceans. Bloody hell, mate. Let the others know we are running into a storm. Secure the cargo. I don't want anything to happen to the cargo. The core formation guards on the upper deck talked to each other while staring at the brewing storm on the horizon. Among the 6 guards on the upper deck, 2 were standing on the ship's front, 1 was standing on the crow's nest, 1 on each side of the ship tending the sail masts. The 6th one was the guy steering the rudder. Luckily, they were all staring at the storm as none kept an eye on the rudder steering guard. Unfortunately, the source point of the formation on the rudder stage was beside the rudder steering guard. Even if she fired an ice arrow, The noise would alert the guard. Full Lucifer mode, the moment he ordered the system, his eyes began to shine in crimson red while the cloud of darkness, a cloud of black smoke enveloped Michael around. That's the point. Wait for my signal before firing. Michael cast the lightning dash spell right when a lightning flash appeared to reach the guard. Just a second before reaching the guard, he also cast the death range, making the rudder stage completely dark. Huh! The guard was startled by the sudden darkness around him. But before he could do anything, Michael grabbed him from behind, taking off to the sky immediately. Michael snapped the guard's neck midway in the air. Breaking a neck was not as simple as they show in movies. It required technique, strength, and training. He had everything. The strength enhancement he got from Death Range made breaking the guard's neck as easy as breaking an egg. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. The moment he killed the guard, Gaia fired the ice arrow, breaking the last defensive formation. Take care of the two in the front, he'll take the other two. Gaia nodded as she flew towards the ship's front from the back. The guards' focus was on the storm, so they didn't notice Gaia above them through the dark night. Plus, they were carefree because of the defensive formations, as they depended on the formations to alert them if there was an intruder on the ship. Michael was hovering directly above his two targets while Gaia stayed a few meters away from her targets so she could kill the two of them as quickly as possible. Go! The moment Michael gave the signal, she fired 2 arrows within a second. Each of them pierced the head of its target. On the other hand, Michael landed right between his targets before sending 2 lightning bolts from each hand at each target. Just like Gaia's arrows, Michael's lightning bolts also pierced its target's head. The guards didn't even have a moment to react. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. Ding! Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Ding! Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current level is core formation stage level 9. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current level is core formation stage level 10. Whoosh! Zzzz! The arrow and the bolt of lightning hit the guard standing on the crow nest before he could even close his mouth. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. The system has stockpiled the excess experience points for the host to break through later. He almost forgot about the points needed to break through to the core strengthening stage. Hearing the system notification in his mind put a grin on his face. Since he reached the core formation stage 10, his overall power increased significantly than before. Therefore, killing the 2 core strengthening stage cultivators would be much easier. Wait a sec, Michael said to Gaia when she landed on the deck. Under her gaze, he cast the lightning dash to reach one of the guards he just killed. He quickly picked up the body, tossing it into the ocean. As he disposed of the body, he didn't dare to steal their space rings for safety precautions. She continued to watch him throw the bodies one by one into the raging ocean. The howling sound created by the storm became louder and louder. Since there was no one at the rudder steering the ship away from the tornado, the ship was getting pulled in like iron towards a magnet. The raging sea violently hit the ship, shaking it to the point both Michael and Gaia had a hard time standing still. We need to finish this before that finishes everything. Gaia pointed at the giant tornado swirling in the distance. Don't fret it, Michael calmly said before opening up the latch beneath him to go down to the lower decks where they were keeping the girls. Through the creaky stairs, Michael and Gaia reached the lower decks. The howling sound of the wind became silent after closing the hatch. They were welcomed by a dark corridor with a couple of lanterns hanging on the wall to give just barely enough light to see what's in front of them. Using the X-ray vision, Michael located the remaining guards in the lower deck. The two core formation guards seemed to be playing a card game in one of the rooms 10 meters away from Michael. The two core strengthening stage cultivators were sitting in a meditative position in front of the girls. The girls seemed to be in a wooden container. All the girls were tied, but some of them were trying to move. The others, however, remained still. Michael and Gaia slowly sneaked towards the core formation guards. "Go kill the core strengthening guards, I'll handle these two," said Gaia. He knew she could kill them without a problem, yet he needed to do one little thing before leaving her. Michael squatted on the floor, looking at the space between the door and the floor. He then willed the system to give him the fear toxin vials in the storage. As he poured down the fear toxin, it evaporated into the room through the space. With this amount of fear toxin, it won't freak them out as usual, but it will mess with their mind. "Be careful," after nodding, Gaia whispered. Giving a little nod, Michael left Gaia to reach the room where the girls and the last two guards are. The wooden door to the room was shut closed. From the other side, Michael could sense the arch energy circulation. The two guards were obviously cultivating despite the shakiness of the ship. They were oblivious to the fact the ship is heading towards a storm. Michael scanned the room for any formations. Luckily, he found no formations. Just like before, Michael squatted down to send fear toxin into the room through the space between the door and the floor. He was careful not to make any sound. In a few seconds, he poured 4 vials of fear toxin into the room. If there were no girls inside, he would have poured 4 more to completely mess with the guards' minds. Since that was not the case, he had to be careful with the amount of fear toxin he should pour, or the girls would die inhaling the toxin. After pouring enough fear toxin, he slowly turned the doorknob to open. The door creaked open to reveal 2 bald men in their early 40s cultivating in front of a wooden cargo container. The moment Michael closed the door behind, the 2 cultivators abruptly opened their eyes. So much for stealth, he thought. The old door creaked more than Michael wanted. Hence, the creaking sound made the cultivators open their eyes. "Who are you?" one of the bald men asked as they stood up. "Lucifer." The other one quickly recognized Michael. The 2 of them suddenly shook their heads as the fear toxins started to take effect. Their pupils began to dilate. Although the fear toxin would make them hallucinate and kindle the darkest fear in their hearts, it wouldn't last long. The stronger the cultivator, the less the fear toxin's effect on them. That was why Michael couldn't go kill all the stronger cultivators using the fear toxin. Death range. Michael immediately cast the death range spell as the fear toxin's effect would fade away in a couple of minutes max. The room was completely darkened by the spell. Lightning dash. While they were stunned by the fear toxin and the death range spell, he used the lightning dash to close the gap between them. Pulch. Pulch. Michael stabbed the both of them in their throats with needles dosed in his paralyzing poison. The paralyzing poison prevented the cultivators from casting spells. The 2 guards stumbled backward. Michael didn't stop as he used the lightning dash yet again. This time, he stabbed them with a dagger repeatedly. Since they were core strengthening cultivators, he needed to use all of his strength to send the dagger into their bodies. Pulch, pulch, pulch. The blood kept splashing on Michael's suit of armor every time he stabbed them. He focused on their throats because throats were soft, as well as stabbing them in the throat would stop them from casting spells. It took Michael 20 stabs to make them fall down. In addition to paralyzing poison and fear toxin, Michael needed to cast death range as well as use the maximum speed of lightning dash to make the 2 core strengthening stage cultivators fall down. Even after getting stabbed 20 times in the throat and chest, they were still alive. Ding. Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Ding. Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Chapter 3:13. The ocean breathed, her surface rising and falling with rhythmic ease. The waves became her pulse that day, the echo of the souls she kept safe in her cradle of brine. Unlike the ocean he just left, The ocean in front of Michael was calm. The ocean breeze wrapped around him as the warmest of soft towels. The wind had become the orchestral conductor of the sea, sending waves into their crescendos all through the ballad that was the night. All about us was the perfume of the salty water and the fine spray that came as boldly as any viola flurry. It was as if the life of ones had entered the water, and the energy was so great that this great pulse came upward to form a steady rhythm. The sea is infinite blue in infinite weather patterns, yet in all this, she is the prettiest color Michael ever saw. On the calm, the silent reaper floated like it was dancing with the ocean in a beautiful rhythm. The thrones which were previously placed in the captain's cabin were moved to the upper deck as Michael and Gaia rested on their thrones, staring at the crew and the thing that was covered in grayish cloth. No one knew what's behind the cloth. They could only guess that whatever behind the cloth was at least 6 feet tall. Since Heinberg had been working with Senator Caius to reform the Senate and Tiberius was helping his people settle down in Gisel, Michael only brought Maxine to the ship to witness what he was about to do. In addition to Maxine, Sadie stood beside Maxine. Her eyes were red, her face was pale, and tears kept trickling out of her eyes. Except for Gibson, who stood behind Michael's throne, the crew members gathered around them, keeping a distance. Among them, Shorty was shivering, not due to the coldness of the night but because of alcohol withdrawal. The cloudless sky let the abundance of moonlight that brightened the ship with its glimmering blue light. Michael rested his head on his fist, reliving the battle he just fought in his mind. By reliving the battle, he gained more knowledge about his weaknesses as well as strengths. System version 3. 0 host, Michael cultivation level, core formation stage, level 10 experience points, 400,000/400,000, 1,300,000 points remaining to be consumed, badass points, 125,000 skills and spells. Wind Blast, LVL-3 Responsive Shield, LVL-4 Environment Scanning, LVL-3 Ignition, LVL-3 Lightning Dash, LVL-3 Energy Devour, LVL-1 Death Range, LVL-3 Eyes of Darkness, Normal. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Eyes of Darkness, Lucifer. Can sense the cultivation level of others, can see through. Illusions Cloud of Darkness, Lucifer. Weak-willed enemies will lose their courage completely and surrender. Death range will be 50% more powerful. If activated in darkness, the host's cultivation level will be boosted 4 levels up regardless of the stage barrier. Wordless Spellcaster, Lucifer. In full Lucifer form, the host just has to think of the spell to cast it. Techniques: Swords of Destiny, 93% Mastery, Ring of Fire, 69% Mastery, Serpent Maga, 90% Mastery, Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal, the Dark Lord. Status: Healthy goals: Control the world, rebuild the Order of Death. Utility function: Banker, LVL-3, ratio, 1,000 gold coins. 10 badass points, Runic Teleportation, X-ray Vision, also integrated with Eyes of Darkness, Wealth, 1,900,000 gold. Special trait: 5-star Alchemist, 3-star. Inventor subordinates: Gaia, Warrior, loyalty level 100%. Raylene, 5-star Chef, loyalty level 99%. Arya, Assassin, loyalty level 38%. Heinberg, Warrior, loyalty level 35%. Maxine, Warrior, loyalty level 98%. Tiberius, Warrior, loyalty level 45%. Sadie, loyalty level 30%. The Silent Reaper crew, Pirates, loyalty level 85%. Base of operation: Sunrise Sect, the Abyssal, the Crypt, the Silent Reaper familiars. Nightmare, Forest Dragon, Vidora, 3-headed Hydra. After willing the system to show his status, he just stared at the status for a few moments. System: show me how powerful my spells are. It's becoming hard to perceive who can or cannot be killed with my spells. Reforming the status window will cost the host 1,000 badass points. Take it. Reforming the status window, showing host the spells with more information, skills and spells. Wind Blast, LVL-3. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can blast people and mess with celestial energy flow. Michael sighed, seeing the system's information about the Wind Blast. It was right though, he had no confusion or questions about the Wind Blast. The more he used the spell, the more control he achieved over the air element. In the beginning, he could only send a couple of blasts of wind from one hand. Now he could send several wind blasts from both of his hands. In addition, he could reshape the blasts into crescent-shaped wind blades. Although the crescent blades were not powerful enough to cut a person in half, it was powerful enough to leave a nasty cut, especially if he attacked anyone below the body strengthening stage. Responsive Shield, LVL4. Absorb any spell attacks from anyone on or below the stage body strengthening stage. Environment Scanning, LVL30. The spell would detect hostiles and friendlies in a 20 m radius. Ignitia, LVL3. The spell can kill anyone on or below core formation level 3, ignoring the defensive spells belonging to the class rare or below. The spell's power would be decreased by 50%, 75% by defensive spells belonging to the class epic and legendary respectively. After casting Death Range, Ignitia can kill anyone on or below core formation level 6, ignoring the defensive spells belonging to the class rare or below. Lightning Dash, LVL3. Anyone on or under the body strengthening stage wouldn't be able to spot the host but bolts of lightning. Cultivators below core formation 4 could make out the host's figure in a blurry vision. To the eyes of cultivators above core formation 4, the host will move 30% faster. After casting Death Range, anyone on or under the core formation level 6 stage wouldn't be able to spot the host but bolts of lightning energy. Devour, LVL1. Specific types of arch energy could be absorbed and transformed into experience points. System level is too low to give more information. Death Range, LVL3. The host's power will rise by 30%. Eyes of Darkness, Normal. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Eyes of Darkness, Lucifer. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Can see through illusions. Cloud of Darkness, Lucifer. Weak-willed enemies will lose their courage completely and surrender. Death Range will be 50% more powerful if activated in darkness. The host's cultivation level will be boosted 4 levels up regardless of the stage barrier. Wordless Spellcaster, Lucifer. In full Lucifer form, the host just has to think of the spell to cast it. A while after pondering, Michael decided to upgrade a few of the existing ones before buying new spells. Okay, I think I should first upgrade the Responsive Shield. Level 5 Responsive Shield will be able to absorb any spell attacks from anyone on or below the stage core formation level 2, cost 10,000 badass points for upgrading it to level 5. 15,000 badass points for upgrading it to level 6, which would absorb any spell attacks from anyone at or below the stage core formation level 4. I'm confused. Do I have to spend 25,000 to upgrade it to level 6? Or I can give you 15,000 points to jump from level 4 to level 6. Yeah, you wish. You need to spend 10,000 badass points to upgrade the spell from level 4 to level 5 and 15,000 points to upgrade it from level 5 to level 6. The system recommends the host upgrade the spell instead of being stingy with points. You have no other defense spells in your arsenal, and who knows how many freaks would compete in the tournament. The system was right. He couldn't be cocky or half-prepared, especially when he knew that prodigies from all over the Elon continent would come to the tournament. If he didn't upgrade the spell to at least level 6, any core formation prodigy with epic or legendary spell could easily kill him. Upgrade the spell? Good decision. The system appreciated Michael's decision. The next moment the number of badass points decreased from 125,000 to 100,000. Next one should be Lightning Dash. In level 4, anyone at or under the core formation stage level 5 wouldn't be able to spot the host but bolts of lightning. Cultivators from core formation level 6 to level 8 could make out the host's figure in a blurry vision. To the eyes of cultivators above core formation 8, the host will move 40% faster. Upgrading it to level 4 would cost the host 20,000 badass points. Upgrade it, Michael said without any hesitation. After upgrading, the Responsive Shield could protect him from anyone at or below core formation level 4. When dealing with anyone above this level, he could use Lightning Dash that would give him enough speed to escape from their offensive spell and kill them using his swords or spells. Next spell, Ignitia. In level 4, Ignitia can kill anyone at or below core formation level 5, ignoring the defensive spells belonging to the class rare or below. The spell's power would be decreased by 40%, 70% by defensive spells belonging to the class Epic and Legendary respectively. The upgrade will cost you 30,000 badass points. I need to ask, what about people above core formation level 6? There's no direct answer whether you could kill them with one lightning bolt or many. It depends on the target's defensive spell. Basically, if you're attacking anyone above core formation level 6 who did not cast any defensive spell, Ignitia can wound them severely or even take their life if you aim for the vital parts. However, if they cast any defensive spells, you won't be able to kill them with one shot. So what's the point in leveling up when I can just upgrade the spells using badass points? You can't upgrade the spells if you are not strong enough. Don't forget that your cultivation stage will affect the power of your spells. The more you level up, the more powerful your spells would become. Alright, upgrade Ignitia to level 4. As he was leveling up and upgrading the spells, he realized one thing: everything had become much more complicated than before. Moving forward, he knew he must be cautious and plan everything as he did on Earth. I have posted the character image of Harriet Hunt with her theme music. Come check it out. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.